I'm Jessica Vaughn, Chair of the Hillsborough County School Board. I want to welcome you to Hillsborough County Public Schools. We serve more than 200,000 students, including children starting with our early learning programs and continuing with adults through our workforce programs.
I'm Karen Perez, the school board's vice chair. Our district is the 7th largest in America, and our team is made up of 24,000 people working at close to 250 sites across the county. Nuestro distrito es el 7º más grande de los Estados Unidos y el 3º más grande del estado de Florida. Nuestro equipo está formado por 24 millones de personas que trabajan en cerca de 250 escuelas en todo el condado.
Our district is diverse and dedicated. Our board meetings are held in our board auditorium on select Tuesdays at 4 p.m. The best way to serve our students and our community is to involve you, the public, in what we do.
You are welcome to meet or email any of our board members and follow our district on social media. School board meetings are covered live by Hillsborough Schools TV on Spectrum 635 and Frontier Channel 32.
Meetings are also streamed live on our website at hillsboroughschools.org. Closed captioning is provided on all broadcasts, and past meetings are available in our online archive.
We are interested in what the public has to say. We'll include time for audience comments before we address our business items. Our agenda and any supporting materials can be viewed online in advance. They are posted 7 days before each meeting on our website at hillsboroughschools.org.
Our vision is preparing students for life, and that means all students every day. Todos los estudiantes, todos los días. Thank you for your interest in education. With your help, we are making decisions that shape our community's future.
The board meeting of September 30th, 2025 is called to order. Member Perez will now lead us in a moment of reflection, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to take this moment to reflect on a critical issue of mental health. In a world where challenges are a constant companion, it's essential that we prioritize the well-being of our students and our staff. Let us consider the weight that they carry each day and the importance of providing them with the support they need to thrive. As leaders in education, let us always remember the power of kindness, empathy, and understanding in nurturing strong mental health. I invite you all to take a brief moment of reflection to center our thoughts on the well-being of those we serve and reaffirm our commitment to creating a safe and supportive environment for all. Together, let us be a guiding light of hope and compassion for every member of our educational community. Thank you for your dedication in this noble cause, and may our shared efforts lead to a brighter tomorrow for each and every student in our care. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Member Perez, will you now please acknowledge our student entertainment?
I would love to, Madam Chair. I want to thank the Plant City High School Orchestra, along with Principal Heather Holloway and Director Steve Bossert. Those wonderful students entertained us prior to the start of our board meeting, and at this time, we would like to invite the students up to introduce themselves.
My name is Nikhil. I am in 12th grade and I play the violin.
My name is Kel Francisco. I'm a junior and I play the cello.
My name is Jackson Vasallo. I play bass and I'm in 11th grade.
My name is Joseph Geritano. I'm in 10th grade and I play cello.
My name is Colin Fenton. I'm a junior and I play cello.
My name is Quinn Rookholm. I play the violin and I'm a senior.
My name's SK. I'm a senior and I play the double bass.
My name is Felix. I play the violin and I'm a senior.
My name is Charlie Nash. I'm a senior and I play the violin.
My name is Henry Slaughter. I'm a senior and I play the viola.
My name is Joseph Harb. I'm a senior and I play the violin.
My name is Sophia Barkulis. I'm a junior and I play the violin.
My name is Guinevere. I'm a junior and I play the violin.
My name is Emery Elwell. I'm a junior and I play the double bass.
My name is Kylie Krustev. I'm a senior and I play the violin.
My name is Nina Delaney. I'm a senior and I play the viola.
My name is Samantha Iglesias. I'm a junior and I play the violin.
My name is Megan. I'm a senior and I play the violin. My name is Melania. I'm a junior and I play the cello.
My name is Madden Moore. I'm a junior and I play the violin.
My name is Ava Carlson. I'm a junior and I play the viola.
My name is Amalia C. I'm a senior and I play violin.
My name is Anna Dumont. I'm a senior and I play violin.
Good afternoon. My name is Stephen Bosser, and I serve as the Director of Orchestras at H.B. Plant High School. It is my privilege to introduce the H.B. Plant High School Chamber Orchestra. This is our top string ensemble. This group has achieved a high level of musical excellence, and portions of our performance today will be performed at Boston Symphony Hall as part of the Boston Instrumental Festival. We are honored. Thank you. We are honored to represent not only H.B. Plant High School, but also Hillsborough County Public Schools on this national stage. I want to take a moment to thank you for your ongoing support of music education. Opportunities like these are possible because of your commitment to the arts and to our students. With your continued leadership, I hope we are able to sustain our district's recognition as one of the top 100 communities for music education in the United States. Thank you.
Parents, if you'd like to take pictures, please come up.
All right, board members, I need a motion and a second to adopt the agenda. I have a motion by Member Gray and a second by Member Combs. Any discussion? If not, please vote when your lights appear. And the motion passes unanimously. Let the record reflect that all board members are present. We have one set of minutes to be approved today, September 9th, 2025, school board meeting. I need a motion and a second to approve the minutes. I have a motion by Member Combs and a second by Member Gray. Any discussion? If not, please vote when your lights appear. And the motion passes unanimously. Board members, I would like to go over the format of today's meeting. As a reminder, we're a nonpartisan board who believe all children can be empowered to learn, to succeed, and our decisions will be made with that understanding. To pave the way for efficient agenda statements and questions, board members will have 5 minutes to speak with 30 seconds for final thoughts. Afterwards, the superintendent can respond. If you have further questions, you're asked to get back in the queue. Member Perez will now read the board guidelines.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As we begin this afternoon's meeting, please allow me to quickly review the format of our school board meetings. Please silence all electronic devices. There are speakers in the room behind me that allow board members to hear the meeting upon stepping away from the dais. This meeting can be viewed with closed captioning on live webcast, on cable TV, and on video monitors here in the auditorium. It also can be viewed with closed captioning on the online video archive.
Thank you. We have 2 items scheduled for time certain. At 5:01, we have the public hearing on the adoption of new and revised policies, and at 6 p.m., we have employee and student input. We will now do a recognition, A101, Recognition of Disability History and Awareness Weeks. I'll highlight this recognition. Florida recognizes the first 2 weeks of October as Disability History and Awareness Weeks. This recognition encourages schools to promote understanding of the disability rights movement and the valuable contributions of individuals with disabilities. Hillsborough County Public Schools is proud to serve more than 30,000 students with disabilities, and we are equally proud and grateful of the hundreds of teachers, staff, and aides who dedicate their lives to these students. Individuals with disabilities have been historically faced significant barriers to access, equity, and opportunity, yet have made substantial contributions to every facet of society, including education, science, and the arts. Disability History and Awareness Weeks remind us of the progress made and the work still ahead to ensure access, opportunity, and dignity for everyone. Thank you. We'll now move on to public comment. The board welcomes comments from citizens and values your input to the board. In order to provide the most comprehensive responses to your comments, our staff will follow up with you and will keep our board members informed about the responses. Our school board respects the public's right to speak to the board, and we appreciate you taking your time to be here. You have the right to speak about any issue you'd like, and you will not be interrupted. However, any behavior intended to interrupt the orderly conduct of the meeting will not be allowed, and we do request that you focus on the issues. When addressing the board, please state your name and speak clearly into the microphone. This afternoon, each speaker will have 3 minutes. Reminder that your 3 minutes start when you begin speaking. When there are 30 seconds left, you'll see a yellow light on the lectern and hear a chime. A red light and a chime will indicate when your time is up. I will now call up the first 5 speakers. Sorry, yes, you may approach and speak.
Hi, my name is Michael Ann DeMaio. I'm a Hillsborough County resident, the grandmother of a local school student, public school student, and I'm also with Magnified Voices. I appreciate all the hard work that you do, and I thank you for your time. I would like to speak about New Florida Law HB 1105, signed by Governor DeSantis in May, that eliminates certificates of completion for students with disabilities. Throughout my life, I have seen too many people fall through the cracks, including my own son, years ago when the rules or laws were suddenly changed. This is what is happening to students with disabilities this year. They have worked hard to receive their certificate of completion, which now has been eliminated, but they won't be able to get into post-secondary vocational programs, which still requires a certificate of completion, not a standard high school diploma. Since there won't be any guidance for at least a year, why can't these students be grandfathered in instead of being left to fall through the cracks? I have several family members that these changes could affect, and it warms my heart to see people with disabilities so proud to be working as productive citizens. I ask that these students be grandfathered in, and if for some reason you cannot do this, please tell us why. And while I'm here, I must also speak out against proposed policy change that would strip our elected school board of its authority over book challenges. This is yet another example of state overreach, and it threatens the sovereignty of our public schools and the transparency of our progress. and the right of every student and resident of Hillsborough County. I hope you feel the same as I do, and will take the appropriate action. Again, I thank you for the opportunity to speak on these matters. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
I'm Rachel Doyle. I'm a parent of two in your schools. I wanted to talk about disability access, but you are doing more nonsense regarding books again. The changes to policy 9130 eliminate transparency, democratic choices, and students' rights, and that was intentional, so shame on you. The addition of policy 2520 is unnecessary for library materials. The district already has a front-facing catalog and an objection procedure, and the board document for policy 2520 does not include the objection form and procedures. This should be tabled until all parts are made available to the public, or you can admit that you don't care about us parents and students and proceed, I guess. It's not lost on me that this is going to be championed by the same person who can't stop talking on the dais during parent comment time consistently. It's wrong to make changes to our library materials policy that take community decisions away from the community's elected school board representatives. I have explained to you, I already have the power to make choices for my kids, so do not tell me that this is about parental rights and education. I won't let you lie to my face and say otherwise. Your intention is to center the voices of special interest groups and the state who do not have kids in HCPS. But I'm actually here to talk about something that nobody cares about, which is summer programming. It would be great if the jobless weirdos, especially Julie Gebhardt's, hey girl, could take an interest in this, as it is actually negatively affecting students, unlike the books. So my kids were placed at 2 different schools for summer programming, even further away from home than last year. One for ESY, one for Host. My kid would have been in Host at the school that employed the teacher who was posting political TikToks from her classroom saying she wants more deportations. Stacy, did you do anything about that, by the way? So I paid for Host, only for my husband to leave last minute for work all summer. I can't be in 2 places at once for drop-off. No busing was offered for Host, so I attempted to sign up for busing for my ESY kid, only for them to tell me that they would need to pick him up nearly 2 hours before the start of school, which is impossible for my disabled kid, because that would mean that at the time that my 6-year-old would need to take his time-sensitive medication, he would be on a bus. How's he supposed to do that? So we could not do Host that I paid for, and instead I drove my ESY kid daily, which came to around 2 hours a day in the car for me, so I could ensure he would be able to take his meds and still attend, so he doesn't fail to meet his IEP goals due to summer gaps. Having a car is a privilege that allows for me to do this. Many of your parents of disabled students do not have this privilege or the ability to take off 2 hours of work every day. We are the families that you leave to fall through the gaps while you waste time taking book ban orders on Twitter, pretending to care about fiscal responsibility, and only making time for photo ops and never calling us parents back. I don't care that non-public schools parents in MAGA hats show up to pat you on the head. I am the actual performance review that you should care about. And I am telling you that you do not pass. You owe my kids more than your political theater. It is Disability Awareness Month. Thanks, Jessica. Time to give a damn about your disabled students. You are not beholden to the disgusting unelected appointees of Ron DeSantis. You are not beholden to special interest groups. You are beholden to me. History may not be kind to you. I assure you I will be meaner on behalf of my kids. So if you want me to stop treating this like a circus, then stop acting like hired clowns.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Hello, my name is Finley Allen, and I'm from Madison Middle School. I live in Hillsborough County. I'm here to address the Hillsborough County School Student Dress Code. The main part of the dress code policy that I'll be focusing on today is the shorts length rule. The current length requirement is that shorts must be no shorter than fingertip length rule. I'm proposing that this rule is changed to measure from the top of the knee. While the fingertip rule is meant to set clear and reasonable standards, it is not. Students have different body types and arm lengths, so 2 students wearing 2 different brands and sizes of shorts can be treated differently. One person could get dress coded while the other gets no repercussions. This creates a sense of unfairness and frustrations between students. I know this because my peers have spoken to me about it. Earlier this week, I've constructed a petition for people to sign. In total, I collected 81 signatures. I brought it today to show you. As I passed it around to people, they told me about how they felt about the dress code. Some people said that they have been dress coded 3 times in the same week because of their arm length. Some people have told me about friends that have been dress coded, and others have told me about how people have been dress coded because they have long arms. From my own experience, I've been dress coded for my fingers being less than an inch over my hemline. My fingers were about 4 inches above my knee, which is otherwise completely appropriate. At the same time, I've seen other people wearing shorts far shorter than mine, but can still wear them because they have shorter arms. This shows that the current rule is not consistent. I'm not asking for a dress code to be entirely removed, and I understand that reasonable guidelines are important, which is why I propose that the dress code policy is updated and requires shorts hem to be no shorter than 7 inches above the knee. Measuring from the top of the knee makes it a clearer and more consistent way of measuring length and seeing if shorts are appropriate or not. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Betsy Braden. My 2 kids graduated from HB Plant High School, the same as the beautiful orchestra we had today. Thank you for letting me speak. Today I'm speaking against the new policy 2520, where only the superintendent chooses what books and materials are appropriate based on state recommendations. I'm also speaking to keep 9130, where the school board decides which books and materials are appropriate. We voted for our school board members to make recommendations, not the state. The state shouldn't have preemption over the school board. Preemption by the state over Hillsborough schools' books and materials is undemocratic. We need to stand up for our students and not cave to the authoritarians. Book bans are unpopular. They hurt marginalized students who can't go get in a car and go buy a book at a bookstore. History shows societies which banned books were backwards and repressive. If you cave to this new policy, what's next? Will we drop enumerations for marginalized students as they did in Sarasota, letting the bullies run wild with no backlash? Will we have 10 commandments and Trump Bibles, such as in Oklahoma schools? Will we allow Christian Sunday school buses teach Sunday school during school hours as they do in Duval County? What about PragerU teaching that slavery was good for learning work skills? You may think that this new policy 2520 is no big deal, but we know the state has more repression up their sleeves. Remember, first they came for the books, then they came for the people.
Thank you. Can I get speakers 6 through 10 to line up, please? Next speaker.
Mark Luther Largo. 704, Amendment of Design Firms Agreement for Architectural Services on a Continuing Basis. Oh, what could go wrong there? Ha 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 ha. Here's the headline. The world is now unavoidably toxic. And aren't you playing your part? Yeah. That last meeting I attended, after I spoke about your budget, you had a couple of apologists get up to speak. That was really bad. Oh, man. Here's a headline. Trump EPA moves to repeal scientific finding that allows climate regulation. Well, what can go wrong there? And for how many years, meetings have I brought this publication? Better Buildings by Design. Winston Churchill said it in 1960. We shape our buildings, thereafter they shape us. Well, you know, what did that headline just say? And this is what all the buildings should look like. No other color. No other color. You go over to the Mediterranean along the coast, you won't see any other color. because they know that the buildings won't get hot. And then here we have this headline, a record year for floods and heat. First glimpses of fall forecasts warn of high temperatures, more wildfires. Yeah, they still have 90 degrees up north. Tampa Bay Water wins $21 million against forever poisons, forever chemicals. And what are you doing to protect your students? The jarring contradiction at the heart of Kennedy's health agenda. Oh, and what are you doing to teach your students here? Why are Confederate Civil War leaders honored with holidays in Florida? Are you teaching your students the truth? There should be a real emphasis here. History.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Hello, my name is Ashley Morrow, 5th generation Tampan and history lover, and my job, I am a full-time photographer. Hey, Howard W. Blake High School, go Yellow Jackets. So I just wanted to come up here and share a bit of information about historically black schools that are here in Tampa, just for information purposes. And there are 11 in total that I've counted. 10 are public schools, one being a private school, St. Peter Clavery, which is the one I will start with. That opened in 1894 and was burned down 10 days later after it was built on Morgan Street, and they were told to build over in the Scrub, the area near where we now know as Encore, used to be Central Park Village, and there it stands still. And these are all the schools that are still open, let me be clear. Dunbar Elementary, founded in the early 1900s. It opened as the West Tampa Negro School over in West Tampa, obviously. It eventually was overcrowded and it was renamed and expanded in 1932 after Paul Lawrence Dunbar. Lomax Elementary School, founded in 1913. Ooh, whoop, go Adults Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, shout out. It was opened initially as Gilchrist Institute. It was a white school over in the East Tampa area. However, as black people moved into the area, it was shut down and turned into a Negro school and was renamed Lomax High School. People like Blanche E. Armwood worked there as the principal. Next, we have Booker T. Washington School, which opened as Blanche Street Negro School, renamed Booker T. Washington School. The principal there was Howard W. Blake. The educator Blanche Armwood helped expand the school into senior high school, having senior high school courses. Next, we have George S. Middleton High School, founded in 1934, named after local civic leader, and it was the first fully equipped black high school here in Tampa. It was burned down in 1940 and again in 1968. George Washington Carver School, the Negro School, founded in 1943. It was opened while George S. Middleton High School was being rebuilt. The students had to go somewhere, so they sent them over to George Washington Carver. And then when the students returned back to Middleton, George Washington Carver was named and became a Negro school. Next, we have E.J. Marshall High School, founded in 1949 out in Plant City. The Negro students black students out in Bealsville attended this school. It opened as Midway Academy, and I will go forward just for time's sake. John W. Lockhart Elementary School opened 1952. Over in College Hill, the students from Robles Pond attended the school. Next, we have Howard W. Blake, Go Yellow Jackets, founded in 1956. The students from Don Thompson transferred over. It opened in the Stewart Middle School that we know it as today. Marcellus D. Potter, named after the founder of the Tampa Bulletin in 1914. And finally, Nathan B. Young Middle School. All these schools opened as Negro schools initially.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Jason Ferger, and I'm a stakeholder. If you don't know the difference between HB Plant and Plant City High, you probably shouldn't be up there. I came here to speak to the employees, the taxpayers of Hillsborough County, our elected officials locally, statewide, and nationally that have direct ties and influence over Hillsborough County. What I have here is the 2026 Aetna contract, and it's complete bullshit. Did anybody read it? The only way that this came across before the board to be voted on is either pure incompetence, gross negligence, or potentially some sort of kickback scheme. There is no other explanation. Mr. Superintendent, I'm especially embarrassed by you because we've met, and you couldn't even read a simple book that would help you make better decisions. And Ms. Vaughn, we've spoken. Davis himself said you probably were the best one on the board to drive good change, and this result is far from that. And you, Ms. Gray, don't think for a moment top leaders in this district are experts. They are fools. Listen to these numbers closely. You might want to write them down. 31 per employee per month as a fee to administrative plan. Broward is 30. Hillsborough County government. Broward is 30, Pinellas 38, Manatee 19. And our school district is going to be paying nearly $50 a month per employee. Did you go to Aetna and beg for literally the worst contract? In the National Advantage Program, which I doubt any of you know, including HR and benefits, even understands that, but it's essentially a stack of pre-signed checks for $100,000 max. And Broward has a max of 50, Manatee 30. And the 50% number is unheard of, probably the highest of all Aetna contracts across the country. And to the staff at Hillsborough, all staff, teachers, support staff, when you start using this next year, do yourself a favor and start asking, what would the cost be if you self-paid? An x-ray is a $200 copayment according to the schedule of benefits, and that can be bought for $40. A MRI copay, $400. You can get those without contrast for $250, $300, depending on where you go. And don't believe me, call around and ask for yourselves. Call a non-hospital affiliated imaging center and ask them, what is an x-ray cost? A chest x-ray, whatever. I'm running out of time. And for all employees, I just want you to know, I'm very sorry that you're going to have to use this. You're going to be forced to make difficult decisions, whether you postpone treatment, where you struggle to decide to pay the cash price, knowing it won't go towards your deductible, where you consider bankruptcy, struggle to pay your rent or mortgage. The only thing I can tell you is this board, Charlene Patton, Tracy Shacksburg, their incompetence and negligence is to blame. And I'm confident the insurance is paid out of the general fund. For those of you who know, that's the same pot of money that raises come out of. Thank you.
Thank you. We're also missing one of our 6 through 10 speakers, so if number 9 needs to line up, and the next speaker may come and speak.
How you doing, board? Also, superintendent, staff. I'm Elvis Piggott. Of course, I've come here simply to talk about school safety. Just this week alone, in my phone, I have 7 videos of students having severe fights on the school bus. Sad part about it is why those, I want to most definitely acknowledge our superintendent as well as our chief of schools for being very proactive, getting in touch with it and making things happen. However, our board members also that I've reached out to. However, this is an ongoing problem. I'm talking about so severe where kids is pulling each other's hair out, throwing it out of the window. Buses still driving while kids are standing up, jumping over seats, one seat to the next. This is happening. I've sent videos to board members. I've also sent I sent the videos. The problem is also what gets really worrisome for me is that the school don't even know about these issues because nobody's communicating it from the bus. By the time they get to it, it's viral all over Facebook. And then we have the school saying that they don't have no dealings with transportation. Transportation have no dealings with the school. I'm concerned with how this actually get resolved. I reached out because clearly the district is failing our students drastically when it comes down to safety. I don't know if we want to wait until something tragic happened. I don't know if it's got to be one of our kids before we actually take it serious. But everybody should be disgusted when you see how a 6-year-old on the bus so scared that he gets off on the wrong stop and the driver says nothing. Let him get off on the wrong stop and mom finds him. When it gets so bad that he's being kicked and pushed and slapped in the face and head pushed against the window and everybody's recording and laughing. But then I reach out, of course, to the school to say, have we reached out to transportation? No one has contacted me, Mom. All of us has been waiting. No communication. But then Lauren Hill reached out to Chris Vargas, because clearly, Superintendent, they must be asleep down here at your district, because clearly they don't care about going into the schools and making sure they're taking care of kids, because now it's just a joke now that these are their leadership and absolutely have no concern about what's going on with our kids. That's a problem, because I just want to believe if it was any of our kids, we should be outraged. But clearly we can watch these things viral and everybody can point hands and say who did this and who did that. We have programs that we have in our district that we should face to all be focused on public safety, student safety, going to the schools. We're just doing stuff just to do stuff. But at the end of the day, we say preparing students for life. I want us to even make sure that we let parents understand that this type of behavior cannot be tolerated on our buses. Suspensions need to be taking place. If we're going to prepare them for life, if that happened in the real world, I don't think that we turn our head. We do something about it.
Thank you. Next speaker, please. Can we also have speakers 11 through 15 line up, please?
Hi, I'm Tina Williams-Brewster, Board Superintendent. Today I'm here before you again to talk about bullying. But before I talk about that, I really like to say shout out to Gaither High School. 85%, the other things are taking care of themselves, so I'm glad that leadership is active and students are beginning to have a voice. So I'd like to encourage the great progress, and I'd like to also encourage other principals to make room for your students to have a voice at their schools. Because at the end of the day, I don't go to the schools, the students make the schools and the culture. Now I'm going to talk about another issue that seems to be piggybacking off of the gentleman before me, the bullying policy. We say we have a no bullying policy, but every day, at least 3-4 times a week, people call me about things happening in the schools that the principal is not aware, but you're suspending students. You are allowed to question students. Parents aren't there. What is going on in the schools with bullying? We have principals not reporting things as they happen, making up stuff, putting reports in the trash, bullying on the bus. At the end of the day, it is about safety, but it is about preparing students for life. Bullying, you can call anonymous hotline. I agree with the gentleman. We are not following up with the bullying. I have a friend right now who's going through something. Our girls, what's going on with our girls? Women of girls, we need to teach our young ladies, do not put your hands on a young man. Do not. Because for me in my house, I teach my son. He has five sisters. So you don't put your hands on a girl, but if she puts your hands on you, you're going to take her out, or one of his sisters are. We just teach that. But I'm seeing an uptrend of girls putting their hands on young men and expecting young men not to do anything. At what point does the bully get tired? What are we teaching our young girls and our young men if they don't have anyone in the schools to go to? We've got to do better. Stop suspending the person who's being bullied and they just can't take it anymore. And then you say, oh, we didn't know. You should have known. How does something happen in the classroom and the teacher's not aware? What happened to good old fashioned classroom management? What happened to calling parents in and saying, look, your daughter put your hands on a young man? Parents, I'm telling you, we've got to get involved. It's not the school's only going to do so much. Parents, I implore you, check in on your student, ask about their day. What's going on?
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Good evening, everyone. Alan Brewster. First, I want to start off by saying that Gaither needs a bike rack. They need a bike rack. Okay? Second, we've met with the new principal. He's met with my daughter. She's on the student advisory committee. I really believe he's a good fit for Gaither, and he really wants to make change, and he wants students to have a voice. And I've been saying that for a while. I truly believe every high school should have a platform for students to voice their concerns, their issues, or if they have an issue with the teacher or the administrative or another student. They really should have that platform at their school. There are a lot of issues going on in these high schools, and a lot of students are taking it for 2 and 3, 4 years, and it's stunting their growth psychologically. And that's just my thing for the students. Secondly, I had a conversation with the athletic director at Gaither. I explained to him that the parents wanted to have a meeting with the coaches about some questions and concerns. 3 weeks later today, no reply back, nothing from here. My wife did talk to the principal at Gaither, but then you see us at the game, at the tech game, and you greet some other parents that was 3 feet away from us, and then you act like we're not there. That is a concern. My son talks about, I'm sick and tired of dressing up and not playing, not starting, but just not playing. And I really think it's a big issue, because you have a lot of transfers that's jumping over kids who are already there at their home school. Why is that? Nobody wants to address that issue. I will say this. When I played football, when I went to school in Detroit, you could only go to the school in your zip code. You could not transfer to another school unless you had a mailing address at that school. And so this little snowball is going to get bigger when students finally start having the courage to speak out about it. They don't have it right now because they know if I say something, mom and dad don't say nothing because they're going to retaliate. And a lot of parents are saying, we're not going to say anything because they don't want their students to be retaliated against. This is the mindset. Don't parents have a right to request a meeting about concerns and questions that they have?
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
My name is Rachel Horn. I currently reside in Pasco County and formerly a Hillsborough County member. I am also a member of Magnified Voices, a community advocacy group, and I'm here speaking about today about this discerning policy about taking away our checks and balances and my voice as a parent of what our kids get access to in our school when it comes to books. My most important goal of being a parent is to expose my children to diversity and stories that experience diversity from different points of views, and those are being whitewashed. I was raised with a whitewashed American history. I do not want that for our students. And I see this happening right here in such a beautiful county with so much diversity around us. What happens when our kids no longer see kids who look like them in the stories they get to read at school? What happens when they no longer identify? My mom was a sexual abuse survivor, and what if she got to read one of those books? Maybe she was able to tell somebody. This is heartbreaking. The other concern I have today is the disappearance of their certificate of completion. As a mother of 2 special needs kids, the fact that at our state level, this imaging and what this says is that, hey, we don't care about you. We don't care that get you educated. We don't care that they're saying that we don't add value. Our children add value, whether or not they can do math at a high level. Everybody has a place in our society, and this tendency right now of just that disappearing, that people don't have value because they don't look right or think right or believe right. It is heartbreaking, and this is not the America that I want to be a part of. Please, as elected officials, do your part and use your voice as our elected officials to raise these issues. We live in a country where our voices are supposed to be heard. So please, hear my voice, hear the voice of my children, hear the voice of the marginalized that you represent, and do your part. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Good evening. I'm Cindy. Good evening. I'm Cindy Richards. I'm a member of the community group Magnified Voices. I'm a parent and a proud advocate for Hillsborough County students and families. Let me be clear. We absolutely need to talk about teacher pay, student literacy, the very real consequences of eliminating the certificate of completion. These issues matter deeply to all of us, and I appreciate the work you're doing here. But when attacks to our freedoms are planted into our public schools, we cannot stay silent. This proposed policy change, stripping our elected school board of its authority over book challenges, this community elected this board. This is a direct threat to the sovereignty of our public schools. This isn't just about books, it's about power. And it's why we cannot capitulate. It's about whether the people of Hillsborough County, students, parents, educators, and voters, still have a voice in shaping our classrooms. When you silence the board, you silence the community. When you remove transparency, you remove public trust. And when you centralize control under a state-prescribed template, you risk turning our schools into political battlegrounds instead of safe places to learn. We urge you to please reject this proposal. Please protect our local control. Please protect our students. Please protect the integrity of public education in Hillsborough County. Please. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Good afternoon, board members. I'm Susan Valdez, your state representative for District 64. And I'm here to talk to you a little bit about some of the topics that were being brought about today during public comment, which is House Bill 1105 and what originally was House Bill 1111, which was the removal of the certificate of completion, which was my bill. And as you all know, I've served with a few of you in different capacities. Superintendent Ayers was my deputy. Member Washington was an area director, and I had the opportunity to serve with Member Gray. And during the conversations around graduations, the topic that I would talk about, and Mr. Porter, you were there too, as my school board attorney, we would talk about how many certificate of completions we were giving our students, which is a pathway to nowhere. Now, mind you, the disability community, my heart goes out to them. Because the rhetoric around this bill and how it's going to affect them is totally false. Totally false. And I'll tell you why. I'm going to give you some data that came directly from the Department of Education from the cohort of 23-24 school year, because the data for 24-25 is not ready yet until January. But I'll be back in January. Well, I'll be in committees, but I'll forward you the information. In the year 23-24, in the state of Florida, 4,602 students received a certificate of completion, of which the breakdown of these students, now for those of you that don't know, there are different codes that describe a student and the type of student that's graduated. So we have W08, 631 students in the state earned that. And this is any student who received a 24 credit option certificate of completion. The student met the minimum credentials and local requirements but did not pass the state-approved graduation test or concordance score. W8A, 2,782 students in the state of Florida received that designation. Madam Chair, I'm going to, if I may, I have a little bit more data to share with you. If we could suspend the time, I won't take too much longer.
More minutes?
But this is important.
We're going to stay at 3 minutes.
Okay, so basically, parents, being that I have 14 seconds left, 82 students out of 4,602 students received a certificate of completion who were special needs students, which, by the way, in Hillsborough County Public Schools, out of those students,
Thank you.
out of those students, 5 students received that designation who had waivers.
Thank you. Thank
Who
you,
had waivers, Superintendent.
Thank you, Representative Valdez. Thank you.
Not one of you called when this policy was being in effect and I brought it up. Not one of you had a conversation with me to talk about this. You all knew it. I don't know why.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. We'll now move on to the consent agenda. Superintendent Ayers.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members of the board, I just wanted to confirm that all items on the consent agenda have been reviewed with each board member by staff, and all questions raised were addressed, and any requested clarification have been provided.
Thank you. I need a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. I have a motion by Member Gray and a second by Member Combs. Please vote when your lights appear. And the motion passes unanimously. I will now call on Superintendent Ayers to highlight our administrative appointments.
That is right. We're at administrative appointments. So I was skipping ahead. Sorry, Jocelyn, almost forgot about you. Don't want to do that. I would never forget about you. So thank you, Madam Chair. So board members, we have one principal appointment on the consent agenda, and that is Jocelyn Maroon, who is our new principal at Chamberlain High School. Jocelyn, if you could stand up and come on down the middle aisle here. Come on up. So, board members, Jocelyn Maroon began her career in 2008 as a substitute teacher and parent liaison at Webb Middle School. In 2010, she transferred to Adams Middle School and then went on to South County Career Center, where she was an ESC teacher and ESC specialist. She then transferred to the Area 7 office as their ESC staffing specialist in 2014, and then as an ESC district resource teacher from 2017 through 2021. 2021, she was appointed AP of Student Affairs at Jefferson High School, and then in 2022, Ms. Maroon was appointed APC, Assistant Principal for Curriculum at Jefferson High School, where she is currently serving. However, now, very proud to say, a great career in Hillsborough County, now the new principal at Chamberlain High School. Congratulations, Jocelyn. Any family and friends here as well? I see Ms. Kennedy's here. Family and friends, if you want to stand as well, be recognized. Look at all the support staff behind. Family here as well. Jocelyn, congratulations to you. Wish you the best of luck over at Chamberlain. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Madam Chair, you do have and board members, you do have a public hearing at 5:01. You probably have time for one more agenda item before that if you want to do that, or take a recess. Either one is fine.
I need to turn that on. I think we can do CO 404. Do we want to move on or do? Yep. Okay. Here we go. The following items will now be heard: C404, C403, C402, C1102. First up, 404, negotiated economic salary proposal with Hillsborough Classroom Teachers Association for instructional and educational support professional employees for the 25-26 school year. Superintendent Ayers will highlight this item.
Thank you, Madam Chair and board members. This is an exciting agenda item. As a lot of hard work went into this, a lot of time that we've spent as a board, superintendent, and staff to get to this point. I just want to, I'll have Dr. Patton kind of highlight, but just some of the highlights there. School Board of Hillsborough County and the Hillsborough Classroom Teachers Association have reached a tentative agreement for instructional and educational support employees for the 25-26 school year. So just for For the record, HCTA represents approximately 13,300 instructional employees and 3,700 educational support employees. HCTA ratified its contract by 96.7% and ESPs by 96.5%. As this goes, all eligible HCTA instructional and ESP employees will be moved one step on the newly agreed upon salary schedules effective July 1, 2025, resulting in starting teacher pay being increased to $48,350. Several ESP positions, including Secretary 1, data processors, registrars, registered nurses, licensed practical nurses, bilingual aides, and kindergarten assistants will also be regraded. All eligible HCTA and ESP employees at the top of their respective salary schedules will receive a one-time $2,000 additional payment. And Dr. Patton, if you could just also outline some of the timeline moving forward.
Thank you, Superintendent. I want to thank the members of the bargaining team from HR and Finance, as well as our principals on the team, Cassie Smallin, Jake Russell, Tamithia Simmons, and Henrissa Berry. Tomorrow, a comprehensive frequently asked questions document will be shared with all employees via email. The best news is that these pay rates are eligible to employees are scheduled to reflect on their October 17th paycheck. And I also want to thank Mr. Lewis's team and my HR team for working on the timeline and communications for this exciting news. We're looking forward to sending that information out to employees, giving them a full, comprehensive way of understanding what's going to happen and how it will impact them. And so we just want to thank the board also very much for your support.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's 404.
Thank you so much. I need a motion and a second to approve C-404. I have a motion by Member Combs and a second by Member Perez. Member Combs, Member Gray, and I pulled this item. Member Combs, do you have any questions or comments? Oh, yep, you're first in the queue, too.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Patton, because I don't want to reiterate, but I want to thank, the bargaining unit, HR, of course, the Classroom Teachers Association, who's worked really hard as well, superintendent, and this board for making sure. Teachers deserve more than praise. They deserve a paycheck that reflects their impact. And I will say this, every day, anytime I have an opportunity, our state needs to pay our teachers more. I see bonuses going out to a lot of individuals, but we need to continue to pay our teachers. They are the most important thing, and I'm so glad we got to that point, but we still have a very long way to go. Our teachers deserve a livable wage. They don't deserve to work 2 or 3 jobs. It is the most important job in our society, is to make sure, teachers are there day in, day out. They deal with so many challenges every single day. And our teachers show up no matter what. So we need to continue to advocate for higher pay and continue to push that. Thank you for this board and everyone for working so hard, because I know it was very difficult. It's very challenging. I think when you hear information coming from the state level, when they have these numbers, when you break it down, it's like $50. I mean, really. So thank you to everyone working hard, especially the Classroom Teachers Association working together. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Combs. Member Gray?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Rob Crete, and also Britt Wigman. I think it's Wigman, but thank you. I know it was a lot of compromises, a lot of collaborations, but I also want to thank Mr. Lewis, Ms. King, Dr. Patton, and Ms. Shotwell, which altogether was very successful. We're in light of what Member Combs said, 50%, more than 50% of our teachers, when we talk about salaries, we're so low. They go. This is according to Feeding Tampa Bay. Over 50% of our teachers have to go to the food pantry and have food. So when we talk about relativity of pay, we are not where we need to be. We did the best we could, but there's still a long way to go. And the number one ingredient for a successful classroom, and we all know this, where the choir is an effective teacher. So we will continue to work for better wages, equity, and what is needed in that classroom for our children to succeed and to aspire for higher goals. But again, the bargaining team, you really, really worked hard, and you came up with what is called a raise. And this board is very, very supportive for all the work you've done, and to our hardworking teachers. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Gray. Member Perez?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm just excited that we got here, for these teachers. And I know that it was a lot of work, so Dr. Patton, but also, Rob just came in. Rob and Val and, everybody who got together. But most of all, I'm really excited for the teachers, because they're 99.9%, except when the kids are at lunch, in front of our kids. And they're the ones, battling it out with the kids for the education. So I'm really, really excited. That's it. I'm pumped for them right now.
Thank you, Member Perez. Member Washington?
Thank you, Madam Chair. That's a good term. I'm pumped for this one, huh? Okay, good term. But I want to thank you, the HR and bargaining team, for doing an excellent job with HCT. Being a teacher I think I've taught for like 18 years, and I've always had two jobs because it's not enough. We didn't make enough money in order to have one job. In fact, one teacher I know that works at Winn-Dixie, she still works at Winn-Dixie. She works at one of the middle schools, and she works at Winn-Dixie in the afternoon. But it's a shame to say that you educators, teachers have to have two jobs in order to survive. So we're going to continue to work hard, and we supported the teachers. We supported you 100% because we understand. We understand how tough times are now, and we have to support you guys so you can make a living, So I'm very happy. I'm elated. And maybe we'll be looking for next year now. Okay, I like to see them heads shake. Yes, we'll be looking for next year. But anyway, congratulations, and keep doing a great job because we are missing by 1 percentage point. I mean, that's a hell of a job. That's a great job, teachers. That's a great job you've done. So we appreciate you, and we're going to continue to work hard so we'll get to that point. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Member Washington. Dr. Hahn?
Thank you, Chair Vaughn. Teachers, they give so much of themselves to our students, and our teachers and our support professionals are really the backbone of our student learning. I agree with all the sentiments that my board members have said. We're very excited to be able to do this today and support this, but we also know there's a long way to go, and I think this board as a whole is committed to working toward doing more for all of our employees. I know my brother-in-law is a teacher in Hillsborough County, and he also has a second job. I had one as a teacher. I hope that we can get to a place where that's no longer necessary, that we can, as one of my board members mentioned, provide a livable wage. But I am very thankful to HCTA, our bargaining unit, HR, and all of our staff who are involved in this process. I know it's long hours and it's very difficult conversations. And I just appreciate, at the end of the day, the collaboration. That's what makes everything work, really, when all of us collaborate together. I think we all have the same goal, and it's just, sometimes challenging to get there, but I appreciate where we are right now, and I know we're all committed to keep having these conversations and to do better. So, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hahn. Member Rendon?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Every single one of the board members that's sitting up here want to do every single thing we can for anybody that is working within our school district, and especially those individuals that are working in our schools. Those individuals that are directly impacting our students every single day, from the bus drivers to the ESPs to our teachers in our classrooms, from our paras, our aides, every single one of them has a lasting impression on every single student in our district. And so, although we don't get the opportunity to sit with each and every one of you face to face, we are just so thankful to have the opportunity to say, thank you. Thank you for doing such an amazing job. We get to have the accolades when we go somewhere, and we get to say that we are a phenomenal school district, and we get to stand up and say that publicly. But we're so thankful today to say thank you to you. Thank you to each and every one of our staff for all the hard work you do every single day. It will never be enough. This is one of those jobs that it will never be enough for the impact you make on students. So all we can say is thank you. We will continue to do better. I, for one, will promise to fight every step of the way to make sure as much as I can funding goes into teacher salaries, parents' salaries, everyone that impacts our students directly. I think it's a priority to me. I think it's a priority to this board that you know every single day that you are valued, and we appreciate every single thing you do. So I'm so very thankful that we can be an example to other districts to have this salary schedule done and approved on time, because it's not happening everywhere in the state. It is not happening everywhere. And so I'm very thankful for our leadership team and our bargaining teams on both sides that they recognize what a priority our staff is and what a priority our students are. And so thank you so very, very much for putting us in a position for doing the right thing today. So thank you.
Thank you, Member Rendon. There's not much that I can say that I feel like hasn't already been said. All of my fellow board members have done such an amazing job of speaking to how much hard work has come to make sure we can have these agreements, how many late nights. I mean, we thanked everyone, but again, I want to thank our unions, our bargaining team, our superintendent who's always dedicated to making sure that this gets done, my fellow board members, to echo Member Rendon, our employees who are the ones that are showing up every day, doing the hard work, you know, whether it's challenges that they have because of outside influences, inside influences, they're the real heroes of the work. And we always joke and say, nobody, you know, got into education to be rich, but you know, to Dr. Hahn's point, you shouldn't have to work 2 jobs. You should be able to have a livable wage and benefits that you can count on, and not have to worry about how you're going to pay your electric bill. And I think that it demonstrates that through all of our hard work and collaboration, when times are so divisive, that we can come together and agree that our employees deserve that livable wage, and for every board member to really, you know, anchor and say it's not enough, and we want to make sure that we can push as much as possible. And really make sure our employees have the quality of life that they deserve. It really speaks to this board, to your leadership, to my fellow board members. So I just really appreciate that we got here. And I'll keep my comments short because we have to segue to the next public hearing, time certain at 5. So with that said, with no further discussion, please vote when your lights appear. And the motion passes unanimously. Woo! Okay, now we are going to go to E101, public hearing on the adoption of new and revised policies. I will now open the public hearing for the new and revised policy adoption process. This is a requirement pursuant to state law and board policy. This is an opportunity for any member of the public to speak about the policies that are recommended for adoption by the board and to provide input to the board. The policies were advertised and have been available for public review. Mr. Jim Porter, school board attorney, will highlight this item.
Thank you, Madam Chair and board members. As the chair said, this hearing has been properly advertised. The policy cycle is concluding with this public hearing. You all have had workshop on it and discussed the policies at length. So it's appropriate to hear from the public and then have a motion to approve the policies. So you should ask for public comment and then I'll proceed.
Thank you. Does anyone want to speak for the public hearing on the adoption of the new and revised policies? Nope. If not, I will now close the public hearing.
Board members, there's been a request to vote on 2 policies separately. Those are policies 2520 and 9130. So that would require a motion. So the chair will ask for need a motion to approve all the policies except for policy 2520 and policy 9130.
I need a motion and a second to adopt all policies except for policies 2520 and 9130. I have a motion by Member Combs and a second by Member Perez. Any discussion? Member Perez? Oh. Member Combs?
No, this is on all the other policies.
Is there any discussion on these policies? Okay. If not, please vote when your lights appear. And those policies pass unanimously.
No, 6 to 1.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I did not see that. Thank you. Those policies pass.
Every policy except 2520 and 9130. So if we could clear the board and vote again, please.
Okay, please vote when your lights appear to
all
approve
the policies except
all policies except for 25. 20 and 9130.
Right now, I thought we were voting on something else.
Okay, and those policies pass unanimously. And now I'll need a motion and a second to adopt policy 2025.
2520.
Or 2520, sorry. It's the year, I know, my brain just keeps. Policy, I need a motion and a second to approve policy 2520. I have a motion by Member Rendon
To adopt the policy.
and a second by Dr. Hahn. Any discussion? Is that line up for discussion? Yes? Okay. Member Combs.
Thank you, Member Vaughn. I would like to make a motion. I think that we need more time to work on these policies. I felt like the policy cycle that we had, I did not feel like I had enough ample time to look at these two policies. I feel like we need more work, and I'm not ready to prove them tonight. So therefore, I move that these policies, 2520 and 9130, be moved to the next policy cycle.
Okay, so now I have to stop and.
Okay, clear the boards, please. So a motion has been made to continue policy 2520 and 9130 and to the future. So that would need a second before you can discuss it.
Okay.
And Karen Perez has seconded it.
Okay.
But now the only thing you're discussing is whether you're not talking about the substance of these policies. You're just talking about whether to continue them or not. That's the only thing appropriate on the floor.
Member President, are you in queue to speak on that, or just the second? Okay. Member Rendon?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think every board member has the right to have time to review and discuss the policies. This came before the board in July in order for that to be reviewed during the workshop. It then came before the board 30 days ago for public announcement and review. And so we're really 60 days out, and this policy itself only quotes the fact that we are going to have a policy that we're going to be following the law when it comes to instructional material, library material, any materials, and then it requires a superintendent to have a procedure to do that, which includes the community, which includes the board, which follows the law. And then it says that we're going to use a form that includes the district, the community, to follow the law. So there's just nothing to learn about when this is exactly what the law states. And it includes community, it includes district staff, it includes the board, and it includes any materials. So after 60 days of review, I don't know how much more time we need. So that's just my personal view on that.
And remember, board members, this is just about the continuance, whether you want to hear it tonight or hear it in the future, not about whether it's a good policy or bad policy, just whether you want to hear it tonight or not. That's the only thing that should be discussed right now.
Okay, thank you. Member Gray?
So I recognize the approach of getting this finished, polished off within this time of the board meeting. However, I feel more comfortable if we had a better handle on, for example, Van Ayers, Superintendent Van Ayers, do you have a procedure that you can share with us at a later time for the edification? It says the superintendent shall develop a procedure to handle all objections. So you can answer that, but when, in light of right now, in real time, I don't know what it might be. So for me to, I'll speak as an individual board member, for me to just say yes without knowing the full circumstances, then I don't feel like that would be the best way to approach a policy.
Yes, ma'am. So, I mean, on our website right now, under library materials, there is a current procedure that we have. If this policy were to be passed today, then it is staff's responsibility to then develop procedures around the policy that the board approves. So as policy gets passed, we then develop procedures behind that policy. So that's where we are. So so that we have procedures that we're ready to roll out once this board passes the policy, if this gets passed tonight.
And there's a marriage between policy and procedure, as there should always be. So then I would look forward to that during our next policy cycle, that we have that as far, in front of us as well. Thank you, Superintendent Van Ayers. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Member Gray. Member Perez?
Thank you. The calls that I received, Superintendent, is that the community wanted clarification. There was a bit of surprise when they saw this. I get that they had 60 days to look it over, but there was the clarification of what the procedure was going to be going forward. And what you're saying is that that procedure is going to be completed after, this is.
Like we do with all policy. Once the board creates policy, procedures will be driven up by staff based on board policy. I think maybe some, and I don't know how much you want to get into substance here, Mr. Porter, in the midst of if.
Well, I mean, typically, the board doesn't approve procedures. Let's be clear about that.
Correct.
I mean, typically, procedures are adopted after the policies
Correct.
are done. These policies specifically intend to link the procedures to the policy, so the board's certainly entitled to see them, but you don't vote on the procedures.
Correct. But I think the community wants some conversation around what will happen.
And I think just for clarity, there's two spots here. There is a state formal objection process.
Correct.
It is on our website currently that outlines in detail that the board is always involved, and that would not change moving forward. In a formal objection process, you get the board has been through it through the school, the district, and it ultimately comes to the board, where they then the board reacts to the district committee's decision and then ultimately make that decision. That would not change in the formal objection process. And per the statute 1006.28, it is our responsibility to develop policy and procedures behind that. And we have done that so over the last number of years in the formal objection process. What has happened over the last number of years, last 2 years, we've had 2 books that have been objected to through the state objection process. Only 2. Last year we had none that were objected to. However, there were situations to where books were brought up that were not formally objected to. So I want the board to be clear. The board is 100% involved in decisions that are made that go through the state formal objection process, and that would not change with the newly developed procedures based on this policy. I want to make that really clear. The board is involved, has to make those decisions on the formal objection process that's brought forward by a constituent in our district.
So can we provide, like Member Combs said, the time for the community to go in and read that process and then come back and take a vote on this?
Yes, and we have so to meet Florida statute. Yeah, to meet Florida statute, we have a policy that we currently have in place.
I think that's not what she's asking. Yes, you can do what you're asking.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Porter.
The motion is to do. Yeah. Thank you, Member Perez. Member Combs?
Yes, thank you. I just want to say, I don't want to spend all the next 3 years while I'm in office discussing this. However, I think this is such an important policy that I'm not just going to pass it through. And things have changed for me since July. I have had some issues with communication and transparency on this board, and with you, Superintendent. So for me, it has changed. So I do want to make sure I have time. I've received a lot of communication from my constituents that need more time, and I'm listening to them. That's what I'm here for. So for me, there's no rush. This is very important. It's something that we've been talking about for 5 years. I want to make sure that we get this really clear and this done in a proper manner, and I don't see the rush, and so I really am in support of this. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Combs. Member Washington.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Quick question. So if we do it now, or do it 2 weeks from now, or do it a month from now, nothing changes, right?
That is correct. I mean, so to meet Florida statute, we have a policy currently in place that meets Florida statute that says every school board must have a policy to meet the statute towards the objection process.
Right.
And in that, the language says no challenge material may be removed except by action of the board. So that satisfies the Florida statute currently, and we've been operating under that.
Right. So it's no change. So we can do it 2 weeks from now, a month from now. It's still the same. No change. Right. We just delay it. Well, yeah. You have more.
Talk at a time, please, because this needs to all be on the record. So,
okay.
So Mr. Washington, Member Washington has the floor.
Yeah, I was just trying to clear it up, so we could understand as a whole, no matter how long we wait, but they want to clear it up. Even if we clear it up, you still remain the same. So I don't see, the delay in it, me as a person, as a board member, okay? The only thing that we don't have is the procedures in place. Am I right or wrong? We just don't have the procedures in place.
Correct. Staff will develop, we have procedures that will be developed.
Right.
Staff is working on them, but I want to be clear that it is the board's responsibility to pass policy. This staff reacts to policy and develop procedures around what the board passes through policy, this 7-member board.
Okay, thank you. That clears it up for me.
Dr. Hahn?
Thank you, Chair Bond. Okay, so I have been kind of listening to all of this. There's one thing I want to be really clear on. I don't like the language of we're being rushed. You're not being rushed. You've had, since the workshop, 2 weeks ago you got your agenda. There's been a lot of time. If you need more time, that's fine. But nobody is rushing anybody into a decision. We have been very thoughtful about our policy during our policy cycle. You have had ample opportunity to speak with the superintendent, his staff, to get questions and concerns answered. So I really don't like the perception out there that we're rushing people. You've changed your mind around something that we came to, a consensus on. Certainly means you can change your mind. You may not, agree with it anymore. But I just want to clear that up. Nobody's rushing anybody. I think that I also want to make clear policy comes before procedure. So, our procedures around book removal, I don't think they've changed in more than a year or maybe 2 years. So they've been out there for review by this board and the public. So it seems like at the 11th hour, there's been all this flurry happening in the last day, all of a sudden, which is concerning to me because, we have really been thoughtful about this. I understand that people's minds or experiences may need them to pause around this, but we have followed our policy cycle. We've had a long workshop on this. So the only thing I really want to get on the record is, we're not rushing. None of us are being rushed into this. But you can certainly, request more time to review this and meet with your constituents. But that's different than being rushed. That's just asking for an extension so you can have an exploratory opportunity around the policy and your constituency. And I think that's fair to ask for. So that's the end of my comments. I really don't want to have anything, but I respect your wanting this. I just, I don't want people to think we're being rushed into this. You need more time to explore this. I understand that. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hahn. Member Combs?
And I just wanted to clarify, thank you so much, Member Hahn, for saying that. I really appreciate that. And I just want to recall that day when we did meet for policy, there were only 4 members were there, 4 school members. 3 members were not there at that time, so I want to clarify that. And Member Washington, we can change the verbiage, and there could be some additional information included in that if we wanted to add and make sure the school board members have reviewed that or something of that nature. So there can be some additional words, or we are always going to abide by the law. We're going to follow the law. We're going to do that. But there can be some language that can be changed on that to make sure that things are not occurring. For me, when that occurred, when the withdrawal of the 600 books without my knowledge, I don't feel comfortable things happening without my knowledge. As I spoke last time, I do not want inappropriate books in our schools, but I need to have that knowledge. I do not feel comfortable with Superintendent Ayers making decisions without my information, and I don't think my constituents would either. So that's how I feel very strongly that we do need more time, and with only 4 board members at that policy workshop, It's very important because this is a very important policy. I've spent the last 5 years talking about this. I want to make sure it's very clear because I don't want to spend 3 more years talking about this, and I'm not, and rushing it is just not important. I appreciate you, Member Hahn, saying that. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Combs. Member Washington?
Yeah, I don't think we're rushing it. I really don't think we're rushing it. My concern is we may change some words around, but it's still going to be the same law.
We're going to be consistent.
Same policy.
With state law, and the policy is up to the board to decide. If
Right.
it needs to be tweaked, we can tweak it, but we'll be consistent with state law no matter what.
Yeah, we can tweak it, but it's still going to be the same law, the same policy.
The law's not changing, correct?
Yeah, the law is not changing, so maybe we can tweak it. I don't
I just
know.
want to reiterate, Mr.
But the policy is going to be the same no matter what.
And we currently have procedures in place that comply with Florida state law. We've had those in place since 2023, and our procedures that comply with the law in Florida statute.
That's what I want to make clear, so we can tweak whatever we want to do, but the policy is still going to remain the same. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Washington. Okay, I feel like I've waited a very long time to talk. And I just want to be clear in my concerns about what's going on with these policies. We met for a policy cycle. We talked about them. I addressed concerns and questions at the time. I was told at the time that it didn't matter, that these were statutorily already decided and we were just adopting what was in statute at the time. I immediately after that meeting asked for you to send me any of the statutes that you were referencing. I asked many cabinet members. I got no response to that. No one ever sent me the specific statute. For the one for 2520, did I get that one right this time? I see the statute here, the 100628. I went and I looked at that statute, but I see to me it looks like the parts from that statute have been kind of cherry picked. It's a very, 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 very long statute. It has probably like 18 different paragraphs and subheadings. And so I don't really understand where this full snippet was picked from that statute specifically. And it also, that statute references the board being able to be a part of the policy making and the board coming up with the procedures and policy. So I have concerns which I addressed at the workshop. I want to be clear, I have never changed my mind on this. I had concerns at the workshop. I've asked repeatedly for engagement around this. I have asked for you to give us your procedures around what you intend to do around books. Since June 30th, the very first meeting, I asked for what those procedures would be for the entire district staff and for the superintendent to be transparent about it. We did talk about at the policy meeting whether or not you would have procedures that we would be able to evaluate when we talk about it at a board meeting. We're told we have limited time at a workshop to talk about policies. They're always rushed through. I've asked for more time so we aren't rushed during that policy cycle, which we're addressing. We're also told that the policy cycle is just a chance to talk about it, and where the real meat of the situation will happen is when it comes before us to vote on it, which is what we're doing now, having the opportunity, because we've had no time as a board since the ending of that policy cycle, since I had concerns and questions, to talk about it as a board, for me to be transparent that I've asked for procedures, that I've asked for the statute so I can understand the referencing behind it, and I've gotten no response to either of those from anyone that I asked for. So I don't think that even if it's typical for procedures to come before policies on something that's this big, where there are concerns that there's state overreach or that there's anything doing to take the ability away from board members to make decisions for our community, that we ask for what those procedures are going to look like. And I know you and I have talked today about objections versus complaints, and neither of us have been able to really differentiate what those differences are and what that looks like to be even able to go forward about the procedures, because I'm very confused about what a complaint is versus an objection. So are the only things that's going to come before the board things that are a formal objection? Does that mean that at any point someone can come in here and speak about something they don't like in our schools, and you have the ability then to take that out with any feedback from the board? That's what I've asked, and I've gotten no clarification about, because there is no transparency around what those procedures look like. You could make up any procedures, and by this you've taken the ability from the board to have any concerns about that away, unless we go back and we change the policy to undo what we just did. So I'm very concerned about that. Do you have something that you want to?
No, I would just add that in our procedures have been on our library media materials website for the last couple of years, our procedures. We've gone through that process through the formal objection process. We've gone through that. I think with the policy that you're referencing around the no challenge material, nowhere in Florida statute does it talk about challenge. It's a formal objection. So that's just I wanted to bring some clarity there.
Right, but we're still, what you're talking about, what you reference is your ability to handle challenges.
So, and if I could just get some feedback here, there are decisions that are made every day in our media specialists that go through the training by the DOE. There are in that circulation, there are books that come in and out of circulation all the time that the board does not get involved in. Don't. Because they go through a state training, they're over their circulation, and there'll be books that come in and out of circulation all the time without board approval. So we just have to talk through this, because know that the board is not going to approve every book here and there because our media specialists are over their circulations.
And I appreciate that feedback. And we had this conversation earlier, and I said, with all due respect, you're not a media specialist. You don't have the certification. You haven't been trained. You haven't gone through the state certification. So my concern, which, like you said, that's a very transparent process, which is on our website, what the changes allow you to do and what that looks like from you. And that's what I've asked for from June, July, August. I've gone back at every single board meeting, and I've asked for those procedures to be shared with us that allows you to supersede the board if the state mandates it and remove books, and what that criteria is based on, because transmission was a totally different criteria than the first set of 55 that we removed. However, my concern is with that policy in general, the 9130, and I'll get back in the queue because Member Gray wants to speak.
Again, board members, I want to reiterate, you're only talking about whether to hear this item tonight or not. I would caution you to be very careful about getting into the substance, because that's not the motion on the floor.
Thank you.
You'll have plenty of time to talk about it, either tonight or in the future. But please, board members, talk about the continuance. It's important. This is a public hearing. It's a legal proceeding. You need to follow the procedures on this. So only about the continuance, please.
Thank you, Mr. Porter. Member Gray? Oh, you're out now? Okay. Okay, we'll listen to you, Mr. Porter.
So what you can do, if you want to continue, if you want to have these policies brought back at a future date, vote yes. If you want to continue talking about them tonight, vote no. That's the motion on the floor. If you want to...
Motion to table by member.
Did you have a question?
Well, I do have a question, because if we vote yes, that pushes them back to another board
Yes.
meeting. But if we vote no, that would stay on.
Correct.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's confusing. If you want to continue, vote yes. If you want to talk tonight, vote no. So you would vote yes. So you made the motion, you would vote yes. You would. Yeah.
Okay. Please vote when your lights appear.
Okay.
And the motion passes with member
5 to
Linden.
2. So these will be brought back at a future board meeting.
Okay.
With all your comments heard and processed and addressed at that time. And if we need to, I don't think we need another workshop. If we determine as staff, or the superintendent determines as staff, you want more time to talk about it, we can do that. But the point is, they're coming back, and we'll have your questions answered and then you can vote yes or no at that time.
Thank you, Mr. Porter. Thank you for keeping us on track. That was for both. All right, we'll now move on to 403, Economic Salary Proposal for Non-Represented Employees for 25-26 school year. Superintendent Ayers will highlight this item.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So this is our non-represented employees, which include approximately 1,270 employees, such as our head custodians, secretary fours, SNS managers, administrative secretaries, accountants, analysts, tech support, site representatives, among other job types. All eligible non-represented employees will be moved one step on a newly agreed upon instructional support salary schedule effective July 1 of 2025. All eligible non-represented employees at the top of the respective salary schedule will receive a one-time $2,000 non-recurring payment, and that is 403.
Thank you. I need a motion and a second to approve item C, 403. I have a motion by member Washington and a second by member Combs. Member Combs, member Gray, and I pulled this item. Member Gray, do you have any questions or comments?
You know, you look out in this dais right now and look at those supervisors and our cabinet, who many of them were once principals, and I don't have to say too much about their workload. It's just horrendous. And also, You know, we talk about, well, we're lucky we don't have any hurricanes yet, but our principals held the forts, and that's a lot of extra layers of work and coordination and articulation with city and city government and all the other localities. So, again, we have to take care of the principals as best we can pay-wise, even though, and we know this to be true, that the differential between, say, Sarasota and Hillsborough has still subtracted some of our great principals because the pay is much higher there. So we still have a long way to go for the service they do. And just a final remark, we all know that teachers, they follow principals, not schools. And the principals make that whole community into a positive area to live in, and it has so many ramifications. So I'm glad that we're able to do this. I know we're celebrating. And again, I'm just going to say we still have a long way to go. And I want to thank our principals, too, for all that they do, and just such a successful group of folks. So thank you, Madam Chair. That's all my remarks.
Thank you, Member Gray. Yeah, I agree. Thank you for just making sure that our non-represented employees also have someone at the table bargaining for them literally, and that, you know, we're not just, because they're not represented, making sure that they're not included in our family when we talk about livable wages and what's important. So thank you for that. Oh, I didn't know more came in. Member Combs?
Thank you. Yeah, we're talking about principals. Just want to clarify.
Just clarify, because which
Yeah, so
agenda item
this is our non-represented. So these are our head
403.
custodians,
This
then
item
Secretary
403.
Force. The next item is our
No,
principals.
what is this item? This item is 403 non-representative employees.
Yeah, it was confusing because it was given to board members on the paper differently than the order of the agenda. So board members are.
Gotcha. Okay. Sorry.
But we're talking about all of the items for that are going to guarantee salary increases. Member Combs, did you want to speak on this non-represented?
Yes, I want to.
Okay.
I want to speak on the ESPs. I just want to thank the Classroom Teachers Association, the bargaining team, HR, superintendent, and our entire district for getting a 96.5 ratification on this. I can't say enough about the importance of our ESPs, our security guards who are here today, our paraprofessionals, our office assistants, the maintenance, nutrition, bus drivers. I think they are just the heart of the district. I know I can say personally, when I was in middle school, probably the biggest person who had the biggest impact on me was my bus driver. It was such a big impact. The first person I saw, Mr. Brown, and at the end of the day, last person. It's such a challenging job. I think the ESPs are so completely underpaid, and I really hope, and I'm glad we got to bargaining, but I really hope that we continue to push and work so hard, because I know when you walk into the school, the first person you see is the security guard. You see the principal secretary or the secretary. They are really paraprofessionals. I think of one paraprofessional, Ms. Fuentes, who still works in our district and was by far probably one of the best educators I worked with, and was a paraprofessional. So I just want to thank all of them and just say that we need to work hard and continue paying these individuals a livable wage, and I really appreciate it. I'm glad we were able to bargain this. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Combs. Member Rendon?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just to reiterate, we're going to comment on each and every one of them, just so our staff and all of our staff that work with all of our students recognize the fact that we value and we appreciate the work they do every single day. So just from the bottom of our hearts, thank you. Thank you so much. And we are doing what we can. We know it's not enough, but we want to make sure you know that we value the work you do and we appreciate the work you do. And so thank you so very much. And we're so thankful to be able to get this done in a very timely manner for our staff.
Thank you, Member Rendon. Dr. Hahn?
Thank you, Chair Vaughn. I agree with all of my board members. Member Vaughn mentioned specifically how our non-represented employees are part of our district family, and I wholeheartedly agree with her. A lot of the work they do and the contributions they make are behind the scenes in our schools and in our community, but they are vital to the success of our schools. So You know, I'm very happy that we're approving this proposal today. It's about showing every member of our team that they're valued. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hahn. Member Gray? Oh, she's away from the dais real quick. Member Washington?
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I just want to tell you, the ESPs are so important because when you walk into the school, you see the secretary sitting there, and they make the tone of the day. Because if a parent come in there upset, and the secretary is not a pleasant person, it makes it worse. You got to have somebody with a great personality, and they do a great job. You know, you think about all the people comes into a school each day, the schools that we have in Hillsborough County, and there's somebody that's school security. Somebody's always there to gratefully accept them coming into the school. And I tell you now, as a former principal, my secretary was a key in the pocket. That's it. I mean, hey, they pretty much ran the school. They knew a lot more than I knew because somebody always gave them some information to tell me. And they always did a great job, always. So, hey, look, I wish I could give you more money. If I become rich one day, I'll probably donate money to the ESPs, really. But anyway, we're going to continue to work hard and make sure that you have a good living in life. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Member Washington. Member Gray?
Thank you, Madam Chair. You know, the foundation of our school sites begins and ends with our ESP. And I know that is as clear as day, and the board remarks are so emblematic of what goes on. As soon as you go to the school, guess what? You look at the floors, you look at the classroom conditions. The custodians do such a wonderful job. And then you look at the point of service, the bus drivers. Well, who do you think the students get their mood and their vision of the day? Many times from the bus driver, who has, generally speaking, a very close relationship with their students on the bus. And then you look at the safety element, which is huge, critical. And then you have your resource officers. But by the way, the custodians also work to keep our students safe, as do the secretaries. You know, it's a huge amount of work behind the scenes. They don't often get the highlights that they're so deserving of. And their pay also, you know, we keep saying we need to do more. Well, of course we need to do more for them to have a livable wage, and a budget that they can manage. So we will continue, and I'll speak for the board because I hear every one of you. We will continue to fight for the better wages, the higher wages best we can. And thank you all, ESP. And I know, Rob Crete, you're very much, you remind us to pay attention to the ESP because so many times, you know what I'm saying. It goes around to someone, another group. And so thank you, Madam Chair. That's my remarks.
Thank you, Member Gray. Member Perez.
Yeah. So, you know, when I'm out in the community, I see somebody wearing one of our shirts that says Hillsborough County. And I ask them, you know, oh my goodness, where do you work? You know, and they get all excited. And it's one of, yeah, they do. They get really excited to tell me, you know, they're proud. They're really proud of where they work and who they represent, you know, and I always just say thank you. Thank you for what you do for our students and, you know, what you do for our schools. And even when I see, you know, our security guards and, you know, I always thank them for what they do for us because their work does not go unnoticed, you know, at least not by this board member. And I noticed that it doesn't go unnoticed by our other fellow board members. But I'm just excited, you know, I'm pumped up, like I said earlier, for our employees. I really am. I'm excited for them.
Thank you, Member Perez, and all my board members, fellow board members. Seeing there's no further discussion, please vote when your lights appear. And the motion passes unanimously. We'll now go on to 402. I know that's backwards, but this one is 402, Economic Salary Proposal for Administrators for 25-26 school year. Superintendent Ayers will highlight this item.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So these administrative employees include our principals, assistant principals, and other site and district administrators. All eligible employees will be moved one step on the administrative salary schedule effective July 1, 2025. And as the other employee groups, all eligible administrative employees at the top of their respective salary schedule receive a one-time $2,000 non-recurring payment, and that is 402.
Thank you. I need a motion and a second to approve C402. I have a motion by Member Combs and a second by Member Gray. Member Combs, Member Gray, and I pulled this item. Do you have any questions, Member Combs?
I should get on Jeopardy. I'm just kidding. I would buzz. I don't know if I'd answer, but I would buzz. I just want to say a couple things, and I say this very often. Principals are the heart of every school. Their leadership pulses through every hallway, every classroom, and every student's success. A strong district stands with strong principals, and I do believe that's the heart of the school. I say this often when I go out to schools. People might not know me, they might not know the area superintendent, but they know their principal. And superintendent, we've talked about this for quite a bit. That is the biggest impact that principals have in a community. Teachers, I would follow a good principal. I know Dr. Kiskeski, I would have followed her anywhere. It did not matter what school she went to. Even if I had to go across town, I would have worked with her because she was such an amazing leader. So I think it's very important. The one thing I want to say, and we've talked about this, and I've engaged with you this for a long time, there is a big differential, right? There's principals who have 200 students, and then there's principals who at the same school who have 900 at the elementary, middle school, and high school. We have to start thinking about things not just as a district, but also almost as a business, because if you have that many students, that means you have that many more parents, that means you have that many more evaluations. And I know there can be a difference with Title I or non-Title I, but a lot of Title I, you have additional funding, you have additional support, you have additional resources. So I would really request to have a committee to look at this, to look at, can we pay a bonus if a principal is working with so many more students, and what that looks like? I'd like to engage in that and look at that. Also, I would like to see like a principal like Dr. Gordon at Hillsborough High School. He came in with a lot of experience. He has not received all those years because there's policy or procedure where we only allow so much. I want to be able to recruit the best principals. And nowadays, sometimes when we have openings, there can sometimes be 2 or 3 people applying. Years ago, there were 20 or 25. We need to make sure that the principal is the most coveted job, that it's competitive, and that way we also incentivize people to want to stay somewhere. If I'm in a school and I have 20 people to observe, and then I'm in a school where I'm observing 80 people, and I'm dealing with so many more IEPs, there has to be a differential. We have to motivate people to want to work in the larger schools. I look at a school like Alonzo or Newsom, some of these huge high schools, and looking at the elementary and looking at the difference for the middle and the high school. I have pulled the enrollment from the highest to the lowest in each of those categories. I would like to request to create a committee, really engage in that, look at that, get feedback from all the stakeholders, and move with that. I know that times are tough and there's financial challenges, but there's no more important position than the principal at the school. And we want to make sure those principals, I know one principal who left to go to Pinellas County just so that way they could tap out at the top and then they're back in Hillsborough County. We don't want that to happen. We want our best and brightest to stay here. We want assistant principals to want to grow, and we want to motivate to have the best principals in our school. So I would like to formally request that.
Thank you, Member Combs. Member Gray?
So thank you, Madam Chair, I already said all the great, attributes of principals, and I stand by that. But to Member Combs' point, interesting, when you look at Collins, I'll just give you an example, population of, I think it's around 1,400, someone could correct me, but then that's a K through 8, and then you go to a high school that has even less. So then you wonder how many APs get assigned to a K through 8 that has that high population versus a high school who has more let's just call them units assigned. So there has to be, and when you mention a committee, whatever it might look like, there has to be more, and I'll use the word equity, because right now we have, you all know this, we have heavy lift schools, a lot of marginalized communities that can't always have the most vibrant PTAs financially. You know, principals are being asked to change those schools from a low grade to a high. It takes about 3 years. It takes every bit of work. Teachers are the same. Many of you, and I look at the audience, I know you worked in high need schools. So all of this is to say, we have to start looking at, Superintendent Vanders, we definitely have to start looking at better management, equivocating not only the academic lift, but the human resources that are allocated to the K through 8 high school, because it's time for us to check up on that. It's been a long time, and we've had new K through 8s and a lot of movement in different schools, different areas. So I would submit, Member Combs, to you that particular ask be done. And board members, I would look forward to what you think as well. And thank you again, principals, and thank you again, our Hillsborough County CTA and our bargaining team for getting this, the pay raise so much needed and deserved. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Member Gray. Member Perez?
So to Member Combs and Member Gray's point, you know, there's been times where I've been at a high populated school in the morning, at lunch, and at release time. And I feel like, you know, have you ever seen during the Olympics when they're holding up score, you know, yes, you know, and I'm like, oh my God, that deserves a 10. And, you know, how he handled that, oh man, that, you know, and I feel like some of us need to just go over there during those times and like, oh, the way they handled that was amazing. You know, like Sumner, don't ever fall down during release time at Sumner, because you will never get found, or, you know, it's crazy the amount of students that some of these principals have to manage, and, you know, and the chaos that comes along with it. So, you know, to Member Combs' point, you know, how do we negotiate that when you have a school that's very overpopulated as opposed to a school that is, of course, you know, high needs, but the population is rather low. But all in all, I say that, you know, our principals are mayors of small cities, and they keep their civilians, you know, in a space. And I'm very excited to see this on the board agenda tonight, and I'm excited for them.
Thank you, Member Perez. Member Rendon?
Thank you, Madam Chair. You know, I agree with my colleagues. I think when we look at all different options, whether it's teachers coming into this district from out of other districts, whether it's principals and where they're at and the number of students they're serving, there's got to be a look at all of the way in which we look at all of our staff. And from a solid, respectful point of view, I think they need to be respectful for the job that they're doing and showing that it's not an equal job. It's not an equal job. They all have different varieties in that, and so we do have to look at the entire thing, in the entire process. How do we assign years of service if they're coming from out of the district? How do we assign principals when they go move in this way and that way? And then how do we look at those principals that look one way or the other? It does have to be looked at. But in this particular situation, I think that's something that as a collective board, we've asked over and over again, that we want to put a priority on our staff, whether it's from the principal to the custodian to the paras to the teachers. We want this district to make sure that our staff are the number one thing that we prioritize at all times. With the way they're treated, the way that we offer them benefits, the way that we make sure that they are prioritized and they know we are valued. So I think they're absolutely correct. And when we need to be looking at this from a collective point of view, and I hope that HR does take these comments to heart to look at the entire collective way in which we acknowledge our staff over time. I think it's important that we do that. And as far as the individual principals go, we've got outstanding leaders in this district, and I would put them up against any district in this entire county. I am so thankful that when I go to other counties for school board issues or talking with legislators, that I can say without a doubt, we have the most outstanding leadership here in this district, and they are 100% focused on the needs of their staff and their students. And that is what they prioritize every single day, from getting up at 5 a.m. in the morning to staying to 11 o'clock, midnight. They're there on Saturdays. Sometimes they're there on Sundays. There is nothing that our administration would do for any of their staff and any of their students. And so thank you from the bottom of our hearts of what you do every single day. And your role is just invaluable, just like our students do. And we're so thankful that you are there, being an active voice for our students and our staff every single day. Thank you very much. Oh, the one other thing is, with the other agenda items, you attached the salary schedule and the bumps, and in this particular one, you did not. So could you send that out to our board members? It's not on here. Well, it said you went up a step, but we don't have the steps here. Yeah, every other one has the salary schedules except for our administrators. So if you could provide that to the board, I think that would be great. Thank you. And public on our agenda review, because it's attached to every other one but that. And I think for transparency, it should be attached. Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Rendon. Member Washington?
Thank you, Madam Chair. A principalship is a very difficult job. You know, you should be paid by if you're transformation or if you're a large school. You know, we look at large schools and you say it's very difficult, because I first became a principal at Chamberlain, I had about 2,600 students. That's a large school. Preparation is totally different than a smaller school. And then I went to Milton High School. It was smaller, but it was more like transformation. And the workload was very difficult, because transformation and star schools back in the day, it wasn't transformation, Chris. It was star schools then. That's what Mary Ellen had us. That's right, star schools. And so the workload is very difficult, because you're working with a difficult type of people, or it's quite different. It's quite different. And they worked hard. The parents came in and they love their kids too now. But it's just totally different, because it was more students there that needed help, that did not need help. And it was totally different at Chamberlain High School. So we need to pay our principals. They need to be paid. Our leadership role is very important, because you're put in situations many a times that is very difficult. And today's principal is way different from when I was a principal, like night and day. I got a former student out there who was at my school. And it's totally different. It's like night and day. It's totally different now. So I think they should be paid. The administration should be paid, because they have to work really hard and do the things, the games. You have more games. You have more sports involved now. You have more extracurricular activities now than you had before. And they are there. They're there. Mr. Young, you were there. I mean, you know, Chris, you were there. Marie was there. Shay, you were there. Rick was there. Gary was there. Oh, I can't forget about Potter, Miss Brown. Because it's very difficult. Marcus, you were there. You know how difficult. We used to talk about the difficulties of being an administrator. So I think you should be paid, and we should have quality people in those schools. I think that's very important. And any administration should be paid, because the workload is phenomenal. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Member Washington. Dr. Hahn?
Thank you, Chair Vaughn. So I certainly agree with my board members regarding all the challenges that we face and the challenges that we need to overcome. But tonight is really about coming together to support our administrators and recognize them as the leaders they are, always guiding and keeping our schools moving forward. And once again, I just want to thank all the staff involved in putting this proposal together. And I do think it recognizes their dedication. It's certainly probably the hardest, most challenging job in our district for many of the reasons my board members mentioned. But I am proud to be able to support this tonight, and I'm so thankful for the wonderful leaders we have in our district. We wouldn't see the outcomes that we've talked about, especially over the last couple of weeks, if it wasn't for, obviously, our administrators. So I'm really, thankful that we have such rock stars leading our schools. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hahn. I also just want to say, Member Combs, you have always said that and talked about the importance of principals and leadership in our school and what that looks like. I can't say I see it every day, that just a change in leadership at one school can completely change the climate, change the environment. I've seen it happen firsthand. If the wrong leader's put in the wrong school, when the right leader's put in the right school, it is amazing the impact that one leader can have on so many different lives. So I appreciate you always being such a strong advocate for them, and that our district continues to highlight the importance of leadership in our schools and what that looks like, because the things that principals have to do every single day, from managing instructions, making sure that discipline's going out, managing talking to parents, dealing with what's coming down from the district, making sure that we have quality instruction. I honestly, I don't think that I could do it. Now, I do want to say that I would be open to having a workshop about it. I think that I would not be open to a committee exploring this. This is something as board members I'm anxious to talk about. And I guess my question for you, Mr. Porter, is are we able to have more of a workshop since we're not in negotiation and kind of talk about these things and prioritize as a board?
Yeah, we have to always follow the bargaining laws, but yes, if that's what you should submit the request for a workshop, and then we can work around that and only talk about appropriate things.
Because I would have questions like, what's the allocation for APs if the school has a bigger population? Does that offset some of what we're looking at? Like, I would want to be able to ask that questions to really understand. So I would love if you put in a workshop request for that and we have the opportunity to talk about it more. Okay, sounds like we'll have one come in and then we can decide as a board. And again, I just appreciate the hard work of all our administrators and the work that they do every day. And again, I just thank my fellow board members for prioritizing all of our employees when we're talking about this. And with that, no further discussion. Please vote when your lights appear. And the motion passes unanimously. All right, board members. We're going to go on to employee and student comment. We'll now take employee and student input. Even though we hear public comment at the beginning of the meeting, it's sometimes difficult for employees and students of our district to attend meetings at 4 p.m. There are many ways for employees and students to make their voices heard, including through union representatives, emails, phone calls, one-to-one conversations, and public comment at the beginning of the meeting. The board wants to hear from you. With this section of our agenda, we're creating another avenue for employees and students to speak to the board. We're setting aside 30 minutes for employees of the district to speak to the board about any issues on your mind. This is not intended to be a discussion about specific agenda items on tonight's agenda, but rather an opportunity for you to speak to the board about any issues related to your job in the district. Each speaker will have 3 minutes, and I'll now call up our first speaker.
Good evening, everyone. Rob Crete here for thank you. Thank you for these agreements. Thank you for everything you're doing. Thank you for stretching a little bit when we needed you to. Thank you to the superintendent and the bargaining team, to Dr. Whalen, the district bargaining team. It's very difficult to reach agreements when the state is offering us less than what we think that we're worth. Let me be clear that in this district, in this state, we're all public servants, and I hear Coach Member Washington talking about the different jobs that he had as a classroom teacher. You know, I worked at a video store for many years. I was a lifeguard. I was a puppet, a poet, a pirate, pawn and a king, been up and down. I get it. But I will not stop until we get a livable wage for the teachers and support professionals that are doing this great work. And let me talk again a little bit. Not only do I want to thank all of you for the work that you're doing, but I want to thank all of the HCTA members out there. They're the ones that are saying, they're the leaders at their sites. They are saying that they believe in public education. And let me just wrap with this. What we do as public servants and what we're doing here in Hillsborough County is a huge discount to the taxpayers of this town. We do amazing work. Dr. Hahn talked about the outcomes, which are amazing, and the things that we're able to do collectively because we get to collaborate and speak openly about what we need to do. And until this state understands that they are getting that discount, then we have to continue to fight for what we believe, and that is strong public schools, because no one gives the quality education that we do. Charter schools, private schools, we do everything better than they can do it. We don't teach to the test, we teach to the standards. We prepare every kid. We try to meet them where they're at, and we're doing that while socializing them and doing every possible thing that we can to make them successful. That makes me proud to be here and proud to be working with all of you. So thank you for that, and thank you to the HCTA members out there for being members and being part of the fight.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Hi, Kim Henriquez, Lowry Elementary Kindergarten. This is a tough year in kindergarten. Have you heard that? Okay, I'm not alone. Because it's really, really hard. We lost a unit, and I get it. But, and I think I've got the easiest class. And it's just really hard this year. And I'm asking for help. It's just tough. That's all I can say.
Thank you. Thank you to all our employees who come and speak. We're now going to move on to 1102, approve the 2026 HCPS State Legislative Platform. Superintendent Ayers will highlight this item.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Board members, as you're aware, HCPS adopts a legislative platform each year. Having an HCPS-specific platform focus our advocacy on efforts where it can have the greatest impact for our district. The platform summarizes our position on priority issues, funding requests, and policy. These legislative platform items will be assigned to our contracted lobbyists to provide a clear outline of expected results, which demonstrate a return on the district's investment. And Ms. Kristen Davis will follow up a little bit more on 1102.
Thank you, Mr.
Did you want to follow up on that now or after we're in the discussion portion?
When we're in the discussion. Sorry about that.
I can't hear you. What?
I said I'm sorry. Not until discussion.
Okay.
I was ready to go.
So I need a motion and a second to approve C1102. I have a motion by Member Rendon and a second by Member Perez. Member Combs, Member Gray, and I pulled this item. Do you have a question? Member Combs.
Yes, thank you. And I talked about this in the legislative platform when we sat down and we went over things. I think ought to be law is very important. I have not missed that since I've been in office. Every single year I go to the ought to be law, but I just don't see how it fits in the legislative platform because it's not an ask. It's something that's going to happen. If the students do a great job on that, then they're asking for something. So I don't see that in the legislative platform. So personally, I would like to take that off because from the very beginning when we met, I said, I love ought to be a law. I think it's very important. We've received so much spotlighting on the state level from it, newspaper articles. It's amazing. And it's great for kids. And I'm always going to want to do things that's great for kids. But it doesn't belong, I think, on the legislative platform. One of the things that I see that I know is near and dear to all of us on the board, especially Member Hahn, is I don't see anything here for early learning. We see that right now 88% of our students did very well. So I would like to I'd love to have full-time early learning, but I know that's not going to happen. So to be reasonable, I move we amend the motion to include an increase in early funding by 10% to focus on student academic and social skills in preparation for kindergarten. Hearing someone today, obviously we know that that is a big issue. When you see someone coming up here and saying that they're crying, because kindergarten is because a lot of students aren't ready. They're not prepared. A lot of those students have been impacted by COVID. I would like to move that into our legislative platform and strike out ought to be a law. So I'm going to make that motion. Can I separate that motion?
Yes, okay. If we could clear the board, please. So yeah, I think they need to be two separate motions. So Member Combs has made a motion to increase.
Increase in early learning funding by 10%.
So that would require a second before you could discuss it. So Ms. Perez has seconded that. So then the only thing you're talking, you need to dispose of this first. So the only thing you're talking about is whether to increase the funding as Ms. Combs suggested. That's the only thing you can discuss at this point. If you agree with that, you would vote yes, and that would go into the platform. Then we can address your other issue. So this is only to discuss Ms. Combs' motion to increase funding for early learning.
Member Perez, are you in the queue to speak on this? No? Member Rendon?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just want to clarify, early learning is not on this platform at all. So when she's talking about putting it on here, and I'm 100% in agreement of putting it on here, I just think the language is a little different. I hear the 10%, but where my thing is coming in is the reason we've got them, and I don't care about making that on there, but the reason we're in the position we're in with our kindergartners is because early learning centers outside of this school district are not required to have the same level of academic standards as we are. So I would actually like to amend your motion and allow for the increase of 10% and to require all people receiving early learning funding to be required to have the same level of standard from, we talk about phonics-based learning and all of that. And so I think it's a combination. We need more funding. I don't disagree with you on that, but I think they also need legislators to understand that many areas outside of our districts, our district schools are providing that early learning without an actual phonics-based curriculum. There's no requirement for specific curriculum. So like I said, I kind of want to amend, and I don't know, I think I've got to amend the motion and we vote on that.
Let me ask if that's acceptable to Ms. Combs, who's the maker of the motion.
Yes, I mean, yes.
And then so the
yes.
motion is, you don't need another motion on that. The maker of the motion has accepted it. And board members, trust me, before you vote, we'll go through all this. But you're discussing now early learning and increase in funding.
Okay, so I don't need to amend the motion. We're just going to make the motion.
She accepted it, yeah.
So at the end of the day, the motion on the table, and I agree with you on that. I have no problem putting early learning on here, and it should, because that is the heart and soul of what we do. If they don't come in kindergarten ready, our chances of third grade readiness is not even close. So, but I think we need to go a step further and make sure that we are accountable, because 10% for us ain't going to do anything. We give more people 10%. If they're not doing the right thing, we're never going to get them. So
I wanted an overall 10% increase for all the base student allocation.
Then I think we have a
Yes,
second
so
motion.
so because right now it's like $2,300. So I wanted an overall 10% increase over all the way across. So the daycares, anybody, overall the state funding to increase by 10%.
I hear you. That's separate because we're adding an item on here.
If I could interject, if we could hear from Ms. Davis, what's the timing of this? Does this have to go tonight?
Yes.
No, I need an answer, because we need to know because this is going to be potentially very confusing. If it does, it does, but we need to know.
Yes.
Okay, then it needs to go tonight. So then we need to work through this. So.
And your 10% was on the early learning, right?
For early learning across the board.
100%. Again, and there's no problem with that at all. Like I said, I just wanted to add on that the requirements for all learning, anybody receiving that funding is going to be having a phonics-based curriculum like we're required to have. We're the only ones required to have it right now.
Can I say something? Right now, I've had an early learning task force for the last couple of years, and Dr. Hicks from the ELC is working there, and we do have the UFly, and they are going into the daycares. That's one of the things. We have the children's board. We have several key figures working there. We have we have everybody working together. So it's just clearing that language. The more support, however we need to add it, I'm open to that. I think it's just so critical that we spend, I always say 30,000 incarcerating and less than 2,500 early learning. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense to me. So I think just increasing the base student funding and anything that can be addition to provide that support, that would be great. But the early learning, Dr. Hicks is working directly, and they are working with UFly, so that way the curriculum is the same as they enter. But you really can't force daycares or private entities to do anything. Am I right or am I wrong?
Well, no. But if we add that into the platform, we're asking. That's what I'm talking about. Currently, here with our Early Learning Coalition is doing a phenomenal job educating our community. However, they have the choice on what kind of curriculum they use. If we amend this to say we want 10% across the board, but we also want the legislative to look at the legislative their language to include the requirement, just like we are required to have that phonics-based curriculum.
I agree.
And so if we do both in your motion, we're going to be hitting it from two folds. We may only get 5%, we may get nothing, but we may get that change in curriculum. It gives us the opportunity to improve in some form or fashion and making the legislative recognize, because many of them don't know that where that early money goes, they're not required. They just assume they are.
Right.
So I would agree with you. I think this is great to add that in with a 10%, but also add to the motion where that language where they have to have a phonics-based curriculum.
Okay, so that's
that's
going to
great.
be before you, but that will be the motion. And so we're still talking about board members, Ms. Combe and Ms. Rendon's motion.
Can I, okay, where are we now?
Are you done, Member Rendon? Yes, Dr. Hahn.
Time out. First of all, first thing I want to say is we are really late on this because they're already assigning bills. Am I correct?
Yep.
So, so this really, as we move forward, this needs to be completed over the summer, not heading into October. I'd like to go back to, scoring, doing everyone scores 1 through 10. We have a 10, no more than 10. So that's for a retreat, but we need to get back there, and we need to get on a track that's different than doing this in October on the heels of. I do appreciate wanting to include early childhood in this platform. I think what you're talking about are two separate asks, and my fear is always when you combined 2 or 3 in an ask that, I get concerned that they're going to say, oh, we can't do either one of those, and it's out. Where, if they were separate, it might get one or the other might get some traction. I don't think the state's going to dictate curriculum. They might say you need to use something that's, within the science of reading, which I thought they already did, but I could be wrong. Also, the STAR test is the assessment for VPK is required for private and public providers. So that was, I think, last year. Tracy's not here, but that was put into place. So I think if we dig deeper on this, and I hate to say the word workshop, but so everyone understands, the real issue is, one, we only educate, 12% of the BPK students. And I'm not saying, we need to, I'd like that to obviously be extended, but the key to this is really doing, and I'm going to keep repeating this until we do it more, is communities of practice with our private providers so that they are provided resources and they understand the expectations clearly of what we expect in regard to kindergarten readiness, and we're all on the same page around this. And I also think too that when you're talking about putting a piece of legislation, going after legislation in this area, somebody has to write this so then we can all look at it and see it. And it has to be somebody like, Tracy Brown needs to be involved, and Kristen needs to be involved, and our lobbyists need to be involved. And so it's just concerning that we're adding things at the last minute, even though I much appreciate what you want to add, what you both want to add. We don't have anything in writing, and I know this is already late. I really don't even know what an impact this is going to have at this point, but I think that I don't want to hold this for another 2 weeks, but I would like to see some language. Is it going to be in one? I'd like to ask our lobbyists, is it a good idea to bundle these two ideas together or not? I mean, this is a little chaotic, and I feel very caught off guard for the second time tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hahn. Member Combs? Member Gray?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Porter, can you clarify what we are voting on?
So the main motion, which is set aside for the moment, is your legislative platform. Member Combs made a motion to increase funding for early learning.
Right.
That's number one. And then Ms. Rendon added on to that to increase, and I think it's better if you repeat what you said, Ms. Rendon.
The reason, what I said was
Just
she
what you
wants
said,
to
yeah.
increase the 10%, and I said also to add language to that would be requiring anyone that would be, anybody that would be providing early learning receiving any early learning funding would have to use science of reading curriculum.
Okay. So that's what you'd be voting on.
Okay, got it. So, Kristen, the question is, the timeliness. I'm concurring with Member Hahn. It needs to have a written, type of edification before when? I mean, are we talking tonight, tomorrow?
I know the platform, the draft platform before you is, for approval. We certainly could come back and add something at another date. I'm just going to go with the wishes of the board. I can think of some partners who I know would absolutely support something like this. United Way Suncoast, of course, the Early Learning Coalition, but some other folks that I could work with to actually write language with Tracy Brown and the board and work on this. I'm doing this at the will of the.
And I understand, but it can be done. Is that what I'm hearing, or it can be done?
Whatever you want, I will make it happen.
Okay. Well, so when you look through this platform, and there is to Member Hahn's point, there are more than 10. So I don't mind taking out the ought to be a law, because that would be in compliance with something reasonable in terms of the amount. I mean but that's an individual board member's remark. The other board members certainly have to concur, or at least 4 of them. So the other thing is, nothing really matters in the long run, sorry, getting a little tired, unless we have our kids early learning, reading ready and social skills ready. Nothing really matters if we don't have kids that are ready to enter grades, and certainly by 3rd grade, that determines if they're going to be successful or not successful. So there is a priority. It might be a philosophical priority in the board's minds, or it may be, their experience, actual experience, and that would be a priority. But in my mind, as an educator, I think that, and we go for the high 10%, I think it's very reasonable to take out the bill. Well, let's make a bill, ought to be a law, sorry. I was a civics teacher, but I think in my mind, if it can be done, then that particular ask that Member Combs and thank you, Mr. Porter, stated, if it can be done, I think that's a priority. So that's from an individual board member's conclusion. So you can, put down a consensus. I think you got 2 folks that are agreed so far. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. And we're going to vote on this, so you don't need to keep track of consensus. We're going to do a formal vote. Thank you. Dr. Hahn?
All right, let's try and get this across the finish line. So is it possible to approve this tonight, staff work on what Member Combs and Member Rendon are wanting to add, and then you bring those 2 back, and we can approve that in 2 weeks to be then added to this?
Absolutely.
Okay, but we can at least get this across the line tonight.
Absolutely.
Is that, hopefully that's...
I think that's a very wise suggestion. Well, because, if you're in agreement on the concept, I think Dr. Hahn has a very good point. It's hard to draft something at the dais. It's not to bring up past words, but it is rushed. And so if you approve the concept tonight and allow staff to work with the board members on specific language and then bring it back, I think that's a very good suggestion.
Very wise.
Very wise. There.
Motion, no, you're going to vote on the motion because that will generate and trigger staff to do the work.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so the concept will be approved and then the official language will be approved in the future.
And a second, isn't that like an addendum to the motion?
No, I don't think so. I think it's just clarifying.
I agree with this one.
I think it's fine. So if
We're still doing discussion around this, though.
you want to keep discussing, you can, or you can vote.
I do want to talk. Member Renda, did you have a question or a comment?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I do want to make sure we understand this legislative platform is very important into the fact that it allows our lobbying team to discuss issues with our legislatures as a state whole, right? It says that these are things that are important to us. It's okay if something is not the most important thing that sits on it, but it gives them the flexibility to have those conversations. We have the ability, even if we leave one on and take one off, we're giving them the insight of what we're doing in our district. We're giving them the insight. So they can only talk about what we have on here. So I think it's important to recognize by removing something, whether it's a whole contradictory thing. Like, so putting it on here and then the language it goes on to, I agree, having someone look at the language, but it allows the language that would go into bills or a conforming bill and things like that will all be done by the legislators themselves. It will just be the language making sure they know what our priority is. But this is what gives the permission for our lobbyists to move forward and tell our legislators what's important to us. It's not like we're writing legislation. I think that's important to recognize.
Thank you, Member Brendan. Dr. Hahn?
Thank you, Chair Vaughn. So initially, I shared a lot of the same concerns as other board members. We're not asking for legislation. We're not asking for appropriations. And so, I did not bring up removing it tonight because I did feel like that's something I should have spoken to staff about before today. But I also don't. So I'm willing to let it stay on there because I do believe that we are giving this kind of permission slip to lobbyists to say, yes, you're going to ask for legislation for these items. Yes, some of these are appropriations, but some of this we also want you to say just to highlight. I don't want us to get into a habit of that. Maybe we give it as like a highlight sheet and we can highlight other things. But I'm not really willing to fight that battle tonight. It can stay. Sumner, one of my schools, did get a bill passed that supported military families, and I think it's a phenomenal program. So that's how I'm looking at it. I'm looking at it as this is kind of that permission slip to say these are the things we want you to talk about. And maybe during our retreat, when we talk about the legislative process, we can talk about appropriations and legislation on the platform versus highlights, and we can talk about how we want to move forward with that. But I don't want to, take it off tonight without really having a better conversation. And that's how I looked at it and kind of balanced it in my mind. It is, and I think it does have obviously everything to do with legislation. It's not like we're highlighting something that's disjointed or something. So, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hahn. My comments come more around the process around this. I did express concerns to you about ought to be a law on this platform and personally asked that it was removed and thought that I was in the minority when it came to that, and I was the only one who had concerns about that. So I think that the process that we've always done and which we've come to expect is there's a very clear timeline for board members to submit the policy or the legislative priorities that they would like to see added to our platform. That's always been clear, sort of like our policy cycle. And then we had a very clear and transparent process where we voted on those and ranked that. And I think all of this conversation would have been avoided tonight if we had had more of a collaborative piece, because I don't know how it was presented to other board members, but to me it was pretty much, here's the platform the lobbyists have come up with. What are your thoughts on it? I gave you my feedback, but I don't know what other feedback you got from other board members. So it's a really challenging for me to, kind of make these decisions now. I feel very frustrated that we didn't honor what we had done previously that allowed us to talk about it and have these conversations, because I agree with Member Rendon and have for a long time talking about the consistency across early learning providers and what that looks like and their standards and, in ours, when we talk just about reading literacy right out of the gate, how there's inconsistencies in the standards in public schools and private providers. And so I think that needed to be a further conversation. In fact, I think we've even had it at a workshop before where we've talked about those things. So I think the frustration is with the process and how little engagement it had for us all to be able to talk about it, because not only is it our legislative platform now, but we've also joined another organization that advocates, and they're going to compare our platform, because if there's something on it that violates their platform, that changes their platform. So now that we're collaborating, that's what I was explained, that if there's something in ours that we didn't want, it wouldn't go on theirs. But either way. So I would like to revisit this process. I'm extremely frustrated with it. I'm extremely frustrated that once again, we're in a position that we have to vote on this tonight because we have no flexibility around it. And I feel like we're in that position all the time, and that puts board members in a really bad place where we do have to be rushed to make a decision without a lot of engagement. So I will support the motion because Dr. Hahn very graciously came up, not to toot our own horn, with the idea of getting this passed tonight, and I'm glad that we can go back and amend it.
This is just, you're only passing the amendment, not the entire platform. This is just to amend the platform to include the items discussed by Member Combs and Member Rendon. Then you'll vote on the main motion. So if you're in favor of adding early learning and extra funding, vote yes. If you're opposed to it, vote no. Okay, so now you're back to the main motion, which is to pass a legislative platform. And while there's been discussion about there ought to be a law, there's been no motion made on that. So you're leaving it. Okay, leaving it. Then you just need to vote on the main motion or discuss it further. But the main motion is your legislative platform as recommended by the superintendent.
Any further discussion on that? Member Rendon?
I'm sorry. Yeah, okay.
Okay, seeing no further questions or comments, please vote when your lights appear. And the platform passes unanimously. We'll now move on to superintendent comments. Mr. Superintendent?
Thank you, Madam Chair. My superintendent's updates this evening. Number one, just wanted to thank the board again. It was a big night tonight to have settled our contract negotiation with all of our with HCTA, our non-represented administrators. To have all of our groups now settled is a big step for our school district moving forward. And as Ms. Rendon mentioned, it's other school districts are not at that point. So just again, shout out to our team, Rob, his team. Around getting this settled, and then also our non-rep and our administrators. Big step for Hillsborough County tonight, so we can start focusing on the work ahead. I just want to take a moment and recognize that School Custodial Workers Recognition Day is this Thursday, October 2nd. These hardworking individuals are the backbone of our schools, ensuring that every classroom, hallway, and facility is safe, clean, and welcoming for our students, staff, and families. Our custodians play a key role in creating an environment where learning can thrive. So that once again, Custodial Workers Recognition Day, Thursday, October the 2nd. And board members, we were all at the Empower Ed Luncheon, along with members of our cabinet and staff at the Hillsborough Education Foundation's Empower Ed Luncheon last week. Over 300 attended this important event that highlights HEF's mission to support our schools and our students. We thank HEF for their partnership and support all year long. And again, board members, thank you to all 7 of you who were in attendance. It was a great lunch and very informative. Academic excellence, just want to give you one update. Next at the October 14th board meeting, our progress monitoring data we will be presenting during suspended agenda. Mr. Brady will be presenting our PM1 data, so all of our progress monitoring is completed for PM1. We'll be presenting, Mr. Brady will be presenting that data to you at October 14th, our next board meeting. So this is a big one. So we talk about advanced placement. We talk about PSAT scores. This is probably one of the most we've had in a long time. But if I could, put your attention toward the screen. So Strawberry Crest had the most semifinalists in the state for public schools with 28. Let me say that again. So Strawberry Crest had the most semifinalists in the state for public schools with 28. And you can see on the screen, I think, so many of our high schools were represented in that national merit semifinalists. That is quite the accomplishment. And for us to have 80 of our students have been named semifinalists in the 2026 National Merit Scholarship Program. So 80 of our students recognized by National Merit and Board. I know you realize that what an achievement that is. And, congratulations to Strawberry Crest with 28. That is, I don't think I remember a school that's had that many National Merit semifinalists in the history of this district having that many, but great representation across the entire school district. And just some creative writing awards. Congratulations to Lena Zamol from Freedom High School, Raina Kim, and Abigail Alperovich from Strawberry Crest for being honored for their creative writing in the 24-25 Tampa Bay Times Newspaper and Education Science Fiction and Fantasy Writing Contest. These students will be honored at an award reception on October 8th at Tumbelow Brooks in St. Petersburg. So just another highlight. We talked. I think every board member here talked about our great leaders in our school district. And once again, I do want to acknowledge congratulations to Bloomingdale Principal Dr. Marcos Rodriguez and Newsom Principal Katie Rocha, who were 2 out of 60 principals in the entire country. And the 2 of them were selected as the distinguished principals this year in the Kahn Fellowship program. So congratulations to Dr. Rodriguez, Ms. Rocha, for their accomplishments. 60 principals in the entire nation. We have 2 right here. So congratulations to them. Just a little bit about that. Kahn Fellowship provides advanced leadership development and curriculum to Mission Connections for high-performing principals with the goal of improving public education. And I will tell you the selection process is extremely rigorous. To be considered, a principal must have 5 years experience and a high rating. The application process is lengthy and includes a multitude of essays, recommendations, and on-site visits where teachers, staff members, students, and parents are interviewed. So once again, congratulations to Dr. Rodriguez and Ms. Rocha over at Bloomingdale and Newsom. A lot of principals this week, and this why is because October is also National Principals Month. And just a shout out to all the amazing principals out there. Happy National Principals Month. Your hard work and dedication make a huge impact on our schools. Thank you for leading the way with your inspiring leadership, supporting your teachers and staff, and showing unwavering commitment to our students' success. And our principals that are out there listening know that myself, this entire school board realizes the tremendous impact. We have great schools because we have great teachers, number one, but right behind is great leaders leading their every effort. So thank you to our principals that are out there, and happy National Principals Month. Hard to believe already also, and October 10th is already the end of the first quarter. So in just, in a couple weeks, we'll have the end of the first quarter, October the 10th. So hard to believe we're already, quarter one is complete. And finally, I want to, I was actually a guest on Member Perez's Up Close and Personal. So she just started this up. So she invited me out, and we were fortunate enough to spend an hour a few Saturdays ago with some of our amazing HCPS students from pre-K to middle schoolers. We enjoyed discussing many topics with them, from favorite school lunch to why it's important to attend school every day. We did it on a Saturday up in the media room. So Ms. Perez's first Up Close and Personal, and I think Ms. Belante was also there. Chad was there, and we created a short little clip, so I did want to share that.
My name is Camila, and I'm in first grade.
My name is Delaney. I go to Walker Middle Magnet, and I'm in 7th grade.
Hi, my name is Liam, and I'm in 3rd grade, and I go to Carrollwood K-8. Reading is important because so you can get smarter and smarter.
Well, I think reading is important is because you need to read and comprehend throughout your whole life. Like if you're trying to read a contract, you don't know if they could try to take all your money.
I like their bread because it's very good and they have chicken nuggets in the bowl and some brown beans. I don't even know what they're called, but I call them brown beansy.
Because let's say you're absent like one day a week, there's a lot that you can miss, especially like when you're getting older. There's so much, and it just, you need to be here in order to like understand, because
My favorite teacher is Mr. D because he just helps you understand the concept better, and it just makes the learning, whatever we're learning, more simpler and like helps us understand it way better.
All right, what's that?
I want to be an artist because I love painting.
You like to? Ooh.
I want to be a TPD officer when I grow up.
So why is your hair gray?
Oh, is it gray? Yeah, dress. Yeah. And I'm looking at him.
And on that note, I assume your comments are over. All right. We'll now move on to board comments. Board members, just a reminder, you'll have 5 minutes each to speak with 30 seconds for final thoughts. And Member Gray, you're up first.
Okay, very quickly. Thank you, Madam Chair. Irwin's the #1 vocational school in the nation, according to the USA report, and that's something to be extremely proud of. One of our own, Julius Aramento Cohen, is the recipient of the 2025 Viva Tampa Bay Hispanic Heritage Distinguished Excellence in Education Awards, and these awards go to those Hispanic leaders that go beyond the call of duty. Also, on behalf of our Hillsborough Healthy Schools, we have awarded Liz Tanner, Supervisor of Emotional Wellness. She will now receive the second quarter Tampa General Hospital Tampa Well Wellness Spotlight Award, which means she gets a staycation. And anyway, she's just one of the wonderful mental health folks on our staff that so much deserves to be recognized. Originally, I was going to have the human trafficking slideshow, but I got to move on to something I feel is very important. Member Rendon, Superintendent Van Ayers, and myself, we attended the JCC Anti-Semitism sponsored by ADL, past President Joe Probasco and State Attorney for the Middle District. We had many law officials, City of Tampa, Jane Castor. The situation is this: the schools and churches who have religion origins are being on heightened security due to actual attacks on attendees. Hillsborough County Public Schools, to our surprise and shock, and colleges now are the second in Florida for acts of anti-Semitism. Miami-Dade remains #1. Hillsborough County Public Schools has had a 30% increase from 2023 to now 2025, with over 9,354 incidents of words, written symbols, and expressions of anti-Semitic phrases. In Hillsborough County, over 70% are words of anti-Semitic harassment, bullying to student, and it is getting almost out of hand. Superintendent Van Ayers, I wrote comments, shared it with you. We need to show zero tolerance for your leadership in this domain. These incidents cannot reach normalcy. And I asked Mike Rowan, I put all this into the email, to put strong consequences into our student code of conduct. Athletic events and other school-wide events, we must have experienced officers, as we learned, retired or otherwise, who can handle this type of terrorism. It is worth the investment versus budget constraints, meaning saving our students and staff lives. This is all told to us during this meeting. And does our athletic director, Lannis Robinson, know of a process, or is he directed of a process of an actual gun threat? Let's hope he is. Are we allowing our Hillsborough County School District to normalize anti-Semitic words and expressions? In other words, we got to get to work and zero tolerance. Do we have professional development? And what is our PD as of now regarding anti-Semitic speeches and within our code of conduct regarding hate speech? I'm going to check with Kristen Davis for policy language if we in fact have that in there. Do we have a process in place in our school sites for gatherings and school safety for students and staff? Well, the easy answer is yes, but now we're looking at, again, heightened security at various schools and churches who have religious origins. So we have to make sure that we're paying, laser focus, proactive education. Now, I taught the Holocaust when I was teaching a 6-week course. I did it every year. But do we have actual lessons on the Holocaust? Do our teachers get training to teach the Holocaust? We went to the museum. I mean, there was a big deal. This was years ago, but I think we need to move forward to make this anti-Semitic hate speech lower the temperature, and lowering the temperature of any hate speech means getting educated and having an appreciation of different cultures, different religions, nationalities, and on it goes. And 30 seconds? Okay. According to our Protect Students Act, do our students know of their civil rights if being harassed or bullied about being Jewish or other religions? In other words, do our students know that they have an act, Protect Students Act, to protect them and their civil rights? So those are comments that I put into email, and Superintendent Van Aerts, you and I will chat and work on them. Do you have any remarks?
Yes, ma'am. Just real, the briefing that they went over state of Florida data. There was a mention of the 9,000 incidents. That was not Hillsborough County Public Schools. So for the record, Hillsborough County Public Schools had 0 reported incidents to the ADL last year. We've had 1 in this past year. So just the number, they were presenting statewide data, but nonetheless, we are, we work with our schools and our principals, and Dr. Graves and I, meet constantly with members of the ADL and Emily to make sure that we are, protecting our students. But I just want to clarify that data. The 9,000, I believe, was some state of Florida data, but no reported cases.
We still had a 30% increase.
Yeah, in Hillsborough.
Hillsborough County.
Not sure what that data, but that might have been Hillsborough County, not K-12 Hillsborough County Public Schools.
Yeah. Well, okay.
Yes, ma'am. But we're on it. Yep.
About later. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Gray. Dr. Hahn?
Thank you, Chair Vaughn. Member Gray, I appreciate you bringing up the rise in anti-Semitism and anti-Christian violence that we've seen in our country. My family is a blended family of both faiths, of Catholic and Jewish. So it's always at the forefront of our thoughts and prayers. So I appreciate those comments. It's been a busy few weeks. As the superintendent mentioned, really enjoyed attending the HEF Pencils to Possibilities Luncheon. I'm grateful for the strong partnership between HEF and the school district. Together, we've been able to bring our business leaders and our community partners into our district to help support every student and every school. So I'm really thankful for HEF and what they do for our schools. It was also a big week in early learning and early childhood literacy. I want to thank Fox 13 News, Tampa Bay, and Linda Hurtado for inviting us to showcase our early childhood literacy bus on the 12:30 News last week. I also want to thank Tara, who directs the bus, and Julie Colop-Mayon for joining me that day to share the amazing work we're doing in our community around early learning and literacy. We were also able to highlight the YA by the Bay Story Warriors Festival that took place on Thursday or Friday of last week. The Early Childhood Literacy Bus was there Thursday evening for the public event and family night. So kids got to climb aboard the bus and explore and play. So that was really exciting. On Friday, we also had, I think, anywhere between 750 and 1,000 of our Hillsborough students attend the Storytime Warrior Festival. And they got to engage with many, just famous authors, attend and participate in writing workshops and panel discussions. So it was just a phenomenal event for our high school students. So I want to thank Tanya Arja, Kimberly DeFusco, Tracy Brown, Chris Farkas, Tracy Bergman, Debbie Pepe, Julie Cole from Mayan, and Renaissance Publishing for all of their support to lift this off the ground and get our students there. And I just want to thank YA by the Bay, Linda Hurtado, and Sorboni Banerjee. I'm probably butchering your last name, Sorboni. I'm so sorry, but you both have beautiful hearts for our students. You're also amazing authors, and you spearheaded that Story Warrior event. And you worked so hard to get our students there, as well as students from Pinellas High Schools. So it was a joint event, and we look forward to our continued collaboration with them, so that our students can continue to participate in events like this. That a lot of our students, they have a passion for writing, they have a passion, they want to write their own books, or they really enjoy these authors, and it opens up worlds for them. And it was just a phenomenal event. And I just can't thank everyone enough. It really meant the world to me that you all supported it. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hahn. Member Washington?
Thank you, Madam Chair. A quick note, the principals always at football games, and we've learned this, always know your hot spots. And that means where the majority of trouble would be started, you got to have a lot of concentration on those areas. So I'm quite sure the principals know their hot spots. I want to talk a little bit about the FACE ambassadors. Mr. Young, you did a great job on September the 15th. We have them up there? That's right. We did, it was a great job on September the 15th. We had a lot of people out there who really wanted to do professional development. And they did a great job. It was unbelievable. You could see that friendship. You can see that they were excited to be there. We got some good knowledge. We also had Member Gray, you and your human trafficking. I learned a lot. I didn't know about some of the things what they were talking. It was in person. It was really, really good. And Mr. Young, they did a great job. They really did a great job. Everybody was professional. That development was working. And those FACE ambassadors, they learned a lot, and they shared a lot when you asked them questions. So I appreciate that so much. It was great. It was great being there. Then we moved to September the 20th. We have the annual Plan for Future Conference at the ISC, where we had quite a few people there. And we do a lot for students in Hillsborough County. People don't realize that, especially for our ESC students. We talk about our ESC students and so forth. Sometimes people just need to come out and see, because they're creating a plan for the future. ESC kids, they can have jobs after they finish high school. They can work. We had all these vendors out there sharing information, which was very important for the students. And we need to do more of it, and we do a lot of it. One of my questions, though, were how do we get this communication out? Because, see, bad communication travel like hell. Good communication don't travel that fast. So we got to figure out a way how we can get good communications out there so people know what we are doing in Hillsborough County. I think that's so important. I'm big on communications. It's real important. So we need to figure out a way how we can have better communications when we have events like this, because these kids have so many opportunities. It's unbelievable. So we have to share that type of information. And then lastly, moving on to September the 26th, which was BT Washington. BT Washington 100-year anniversary. And thank you for being there also, Member Renda. It was fantastic. And Mrs. Kitchen and I, they had a speaker, but they didn't come. So Gary, y'all know, and who else got? It was Gary, Rick, and who else was there with me besides Pat? I think. Yeah, right. And so we had to speak. Mrs. Kitchen and I. She went there. I was there 63 years ago. She was there about 70-some years ago. and we spoke about the times at BT Washington that we had as students. And the students, you know, they prepared their own little menu, and it was phenomenal. You know, they had lamb chops. Amazing. And they made that little schedule, and they passed them out, and everybody was excited. And they played music, they were taking pictures, and it was just touching. Because 63 years ago, I entered BT Washington as a 7th grader. And you know, and the schools have changed a lot during those 60-some years, which they should have. It was so touching for me to be there, because that's where my career started, at BT Washington. That's where it started, where I excelled in athletics and went on through high school. And I just want to say, Mrs. Barber, you did a great job. It was a great job, right, Ms. Run? It really was. It was a great job. So I just want to say thank you for all what you have done at BT Washington, Mrs. Barber, and continue doing a good job. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Member Washington. Member Perez?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So first, I want to thank Anne-Marie Courtney for providing lunch for the Up Close and Personal. And board members, I would like for you to, you know, do a session, you know, with the Up Close and Personal. It was just a lot of fun to sit there and have those conversations. I know we have conversations with our students when we see them at schools, but to have these conversations one-on-one with the students was really, really amazing. So I know Superintendent Ayers, Dr. Grays and Marcus Murillo, they need raises just because of me. I call them, and Chris Farkas, I call these folks like maybe 15 times a day, because the folks in the community are always reaching out to me. Unfortunately, our community members have been having some struggles lately. And I think Dr. Grays and I had just this week, and it's only Tuesday, have had several phone calls about our community members' lights being out and having to reconnect their electricity and their bills. And then, you know, community members are inquiring why our students are fighting and, you know, acting up. So, you know, when our students are seeing their unsettledness in their homes and seeing the angst that their parents are going through, that goes out to them. And then they get to school and realize that, you know, they didn't have breakfast or they couldn't take a shower because there was no hot water due to the electricity. I was at a home, well, you know, as my board members know, I go to community homes over the weekends. And intergenerational couple where the grandparents are raising the grandchildren, they were telling me that their food stamps have, and the grandparents are in their 80s, have been reduced to $75 each. So they were wondering, with a $600 light bill, how they were going to make it with only $150 to feed their grandchildren. So, you know, I want our students and our families to know that our school-based student services team members, who include our school counselors, school social workers, and our school psychologists, are available. Just reach out to them. And I know today there was a parent who was so stressed out she was calling the wrong school. But, you know, just reach out to one of these if you need support, or if you just need someone to talk to. I know these are trying times. Call me if you need to. If you're aware that, you know, a fight might happen, let an adult on the campus know, or go to an administrator. There's many trusted adults on this campus, but understand that we are here to support you. And we also have resources to support you, not only emotional, but financially. So just let us know what help you need. That's why we're here. We're invested in your children, and we're invested in you. Just give us a call. We're a safe space for you and your students to express your concerns and no worries. And we're going to offer that guidance to navigate this difficult situation effectively.
Thank you, Member Perez. Member Combs?
Thank you, Member Perez, for being such a fierce advocate for mental health and everything you do. We really, really appreciate it. Thank you. I just want to go, it's very difficult for us as a board. Sometimes I feel like because of sunshine laws, I can't talk about certain things, and I sometimes feel like we don't have time, and I never know when the right time is to bring things up. But, I have talked to you, Superintendent Ayers, many years, for a long time about overall. A couple years ago, I said, we're never going to have the enrollment that we have today. Remember, I told you that. I said, our enrollment is going to continue to decrease, and I was correct because we're down 8,000 students. So when I look at when I look at paying administrators more, trying to pay teachers more, I have to look at some facilities, and we have to look at repurposing some schools. I really strongly believe we have to make fiscally very tough decisions as we move forward. When you look at some of these schools, and I've pulled some of the largest and the smallest schools in elementary, middle, and high school. I mean, they're in charter school. There's a school with 18 students and 20 students and 33 students, but we do have schools that are well below 300. We have a school that has 116 students, and we really have to make some very tough decisions. And when people say, hey, there's not a cost to that, when you look at a facility, when you look at the cost of a principal, an assistant principal, security, custodians, lunchroom, data processor, principal secretary, librarian, resources, there's no question, much less everything else. There is a cost to that, and making sure, and when we ask for millage and when we ask individuals, our constituents, we have to show them that we are doing everything possible on our end to work on that. I've asked for several workshops. We've looked at repurposing. There is no possibility that Mr. Farkas, he is amazing, has the ability to do all of that. So I've made a request. I've talked to all of you. I would like for you to engage with the board members and discuss having an in-house commercial leasing, somebody who's going to deal with the property management portfolio. We need to take an RFP out and find someone who can do that, who can manage some of these properties and utilize these properties properly, and really look at properties because at the end of the day, if a student is at a school, like let's say, a school, and there's 5 non-certified teachers, is that child going to do better off than being in a school with a certified teacher? I say this often. You can have a physician in a tent, but you could be in the Taj Mahal. If you don't have the right person and the right curriculum, then you're not going to move forward. The biggest impact for students is the quality of the teacher and the class size. Those are the biggest impacts for students. And so we really need to look at that. And I just don't think, I look at all the different workshops I've requested, and it's so hard to move things here. And I'm just used to, moving fast, coming from the private sector. It's like years, and it takes a long time. So I would like for you to engage with the board members and discuss that and look at that and see what we can do, because I've said for years, I see what's happening in the state. They want to co-locate these schools of hope. Okay, well, a school of hope, I always say, what kind of hope is that for a child? They don't even have a certified teacher. Our school of hope here in Hillsborough County was a D school and a C. Is that hope for a child? No, that's not hope for a child. And so to me, a parent, no matter if they choose private, charter, homeschool, I want there to be oversight. I'd love to see a school centered somewhere where a homeschool parent can come in and check in to see if that child's making progress, to make sure that child's being safe, that they're not being trafficked, that they're not being abused. At the end of the day, we've got to do what's best for our community. Things are rapidly changing in the state, and that's fine, but we have to make sure that we're providing the best education. And if it looks like we have these small schools, even the all boys and all girls school, we've talked about having a different schedule, having them on the same campus. We've got to start thinking really, really as an educational service, but as a business that is being underfunded every year. I mean, $50 increase base student allocation, that's a joke. So we've got to do what we need to do to look at that and not take 2 years. We don't have that time. And I don't have any time left. How long time? Okay, so let's look at the one slide. I just want to say one thing. The second slide, the Mid-Autumn Harvest Moon, the Hillsborough Education, the next one. Thank you to Principal Harris, Sandra Musashi, Dr. Whalen, and Wynn. This was such an amazing thing at Alonzo High School. Thank you, Member Rendon, for coming. And then finally, October 9th, our huge Hispanic Heritage Celebration on October 9th. See you there. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Combs. Member Rendon?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I do appreciate Member Combs bringing that up, and I'm going to piggyback on her in a minute, but I do want to thank Booker T. Washington. They did an absolute outstanding job on their centennial. Not only did they present just honoring the very first black school in our district by, Blanche Armwood. I find that to be, and H.B. Blake was actually one of the principals there that he paid $112 a month. And it was all, the record was there. They had old yearbooks. It was phenomenal. But the students took us all on tours and walked us through the history of their school and the history and why it was important. And I think that is something that we should be so honored to let us, and our community should know that throughout our schools, the history of Tampa Bay is alive and well, because we are highlighting that with our students over and over again through our classes. And so that was just absolutely phenomenal. I want to thank HEF for their outstanding luncheon. They provide such resources to our teachers and all of our academic services throughout the entire year. What a partner they are, and we cannot thank them enough. The transition fair, our ESD students, I will never say we do enough. Our individuals with disabilities, and thank you, Chair Vaughn, for highlighting ESC in this district. There's not a day that goes by that you say that you talk to Chris Farkas. Tracy Brown probably looks at my number and rolls her eyes, and Shannon Lesperance as well. There is not a week that goes by that there is not a conversation about what we can do to improve, that how we can be a better advocate for our students, how we can make sure people and teachers are understanding where our disabled students are coming from based upon their time and things like that. So the things we do in this district are so vitally important, and partners with our community are so vitally important. So thank you to every single one. I'm not going to be able to highlight everything we do throughout the year, but Member Combs, you are 100% correct that we have to look at the entire structure of this district. We have to come in with a look, and we have to stop looking at silos and the prioritizing of each individual silo and look at the number one priority, and that is our staff and our students. And everything else has to come second. And when we do that, we're going to have to make those decisions about buildings and about what we do next. And Superintendent Ayers, I've said this, I've said it publicly, and I'm going to say it again. You have to stop going to the public for their opinion before you get this board approval. If you want us to move on something, bring it to the board. Don't go to the public and try to get them to want to do something before you get board approval. There are millions of dollars on the line, and we've got thousands of students that they're our priority, and we have to do that. And so at the end of the day, I am willing to make those hard decisions. I am willing to always put students and teachers first. And if that means paying our teachers more and paying our administrators more, I am all in, and I'm willing to cut other things, because that's got to be where it is. And we as a district have to prioritize getting the message out there each and every day of what our students are doing right. Because those 28, or actually there was more than that, it was 28 just at Strawberry Crest, but the number of those National Merit Scholars didn't happen overnight. They happen because of the dedication and the excellence in our teachers, the dedication and the excellence of our principals. And they, along with the families and the students, deserve all the credit. And so every decision we have to make on this dais should prioritize our staff and our students first. And the staff and the students in our schools and the students. They have to come first. So we have to look at everything we do, and we collectively have to look at how we do units, because I think that's just the most discriminating. I mean, that's horrible the way we do units. That does not put students first. That puts numbers first. And we have to know, what do our teachers need? What do our schools need? And then how many students, and what are we going to do for our students? And every other department has to come second. When I have teachers that are looking at students that are disabled because of fetal alcohol syndrome, or because they had limited access when they had preterm during pregnancies, or we have individuals with autism, or we have individuals that are gifted students, they have to come first in making sure that what we're providing in our schools are what our students need. And so I'm 100% behind you, Member Combs, that I will look in under every single place to find the money, and we can't make bad decisions about other things or rush things through. Everything has to come down to our schools, our teachers, our administrators, and our students every single time. Thank you.
Ms. Vaughn, can I make a comment?
Yes.
I just want to remind everyone, we just went through a district reboundary process. We went through that. We closed 5 schools. Last year was the first year of the boundary implementation. So when I took over as superintendent, it had just been approved for the 24-25, and we went through that whole, this last year was the first year in which we closed 5 schools. So I just want to make sure we understand that timeline. That was our first step in the process, and we will of course continue to look, but I don't want the opinion to be that we're doing nothing when we just closed 5 schools last year, went through a whole reboundary of this entire school district by closing 5. Last year was the first year which we went through. No, it was last year was the first year that we had the reboundary. It was voted on in 23, but at the time was wait a year to do it. We went through that in 24-25 with not much turmoil through 24-25, had to deal with that as we closed 5 schools. But I just want to, for the record, state that that was just last year, was the first year of the district-wide boundary implementation, which we closed 5 schools. We will, of course, we always want to make sure that we're being fiscally responsible, and that is what this team's about. And we will make sure, hearing from you, that we will continue to do that. And whatever we have to do, we'll make sure we engage the board. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So I have my last comments. I'm going to try to speed through them because I have a lot to cover. I do think we need another growth management workshop request that I'll put in because that got derailed, and it sounds like we need to have a lot of conversation about it, especially since I was just on a great city school meeting where they talked about closing a bunch of schools and then having to reopen schools because the population changed. So I think there's a lot to talk about. I want to thank Member Gray for bringing forward the anti-Semitism conversation. I am disappointed with the one instance that we had recently with the communication around that, and I had to hear about it from the community before I was notified by the school, and I do want to understand what the outcomes are. As we see more hate speech rise within our schools, I think it's something that we need to address, and I think we need to differentiate between hate speech and free speech and what that looks like. I've also heard a lot of xenophobia, anti-Muslim rhetoric coming out of schools in my district. There was a Palm Beach councilman yesterday who gave the most hateful rhetoric around the Indian American community. That was hate speech. And we're going to see that rise consistently with kind of the rhetoric at our national level that filters down to our statewide level. And I think we need to be prepared for dealing with hate speech and xenophobia and anti-Semitism in our school all around. So I appreciate Member Gray giving an opportunity to discuss that. Buses, we had comments, and I have seen footage of some really disturbing behavior on buses, and I would like to understand more holistically how that works, if there's an infraction on a bus, if the school's notified, if the school takes action on that. I am a little confused around the disconnect between what happens on the school bus and who's in charge of making sure that our bus drivers are supported, right? We don't want to leave them out there hanging so they're not supported, but some of the stuff that I've seen is just stuff I'll not recover from, and so I'd like an update on that and what that looks like. I do want to move on and talk about the HEF Luncheon, which is always fantastic. You did a great job talking about what make our schools fantastic, and I just appreciate that organization so much and the opportunity to meet with so many partners in our community who really care about education and recenter it and focus it. So I love the HEF Luncheon. Thank you to every board member who attended. It was great to have the whole board there. I want to talk about attending the NAACP Freedom Fund dinner, which was amazing. I got to bring my son, and what a powerful event that was. And I just appreciate that work and that continues, and that they continue to be such a partner for our students. I do want to also highlight that last week I had the opportunity to go with Gaither's PTSA and the new principal, Dr. Klein, and look and learn about the community pantry in Carrollwood. That's an amazing organization. It serves not only 3 of our schools, but 1,500 of our families, and make sure that they do it so that each family feels that they're respected, that they're valued, that they get good quality service, that, they just make sure that there's dignity in serving our families in need. And I think that as we see the rising cost of food, we're going to have to focus more and more on food pantries and partnering with different groups to make sure that we're supporting our families. To member Perez's point. I also want to talk about the opportunity to go to Miles Elementary and go to Miss Destiny Maldonado's kindergarten class and do a read aloud where I read my bilingual superpower. I have been in a ton of kindergarten classrooms, and I have never seen a group that was so well behaved, so sweet, so patient on the carpet while I read and asked about context clues that they could care less about. They were just really amazing. So I want to say just thank you, Miles, for letting me in. The hallway was amazing. The library looks great. Everybody in the school is just doing a fantastic job, and I appreciate that. And in closing, Mr. Farkas, I want to say thank you to you. There have been a lot of issues, and to Mr. Valdez, where, one of our community schools needed washer and dryer vent hookup so that they can wash the students' clothes, or there are other things that affect our students' everyday life, and thank you for being responsive to that and making sure that we get those things in the schools just to make sure we can take care of the basic needs for our students. I know I give you a hard time sometimes, but I also want to give you the kudos when, you rise up and make sure that we get things taken care of, so I appreciate it. And that's all that I have to say for now. I anticipate there's going to be lots more conversation in upcoming meetings, but with this one, this meeting's adjourned.